Wake up, wake up. NFL free agency has begun. Get out of bed. People are signing. Let's go.
Oh, wake up indeed. He's Larry. I'm Damon. It's great to have you here. And I remember 3 years ago, Larry, we did a show that lasted about 6 hours. We were just waiting for the 49ers to do something. They didn't do anything. I thought we cut down last year the show time to about 3 or 4 hours. Niners still really didn't do anything. So the question is today, will the 49ers break with their recent norm of a quiet day one already? Like you've pulled up here, Larry, we got noise on Trent Williams. The 49ers have not blown Trent away with their offer. That relationship could fall apart, so much so that Ian Rappaport is tweeting what you're all looking at right there. That Ian Rappaport tweet basically saying that the 49ers are now open to trading Trent Williams. Happy free agency, 49ers fans, and welcome to Wake Up.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this one coming a mile away. We've been talking about this one for a while now. And when I say I saw it coming a mile away, I saw the trade element coming a mile away, because you're not gonna, Trent Williams is under contract for between 38 and $39 million. That's his cap figure for 2026. The 49ers were never going to allow that cap figure to stay. So it was either going to be you're going to renegotiate it and take less, or you're going to renegotiate it and we're going to kick it out a few more years and spread it out and extend you and do your typical, that's how extensions are done in the NFL, right? It's like, hey, you got 1 year at $38 million. We don't want to pay you $38 million, but get this. We'll rip up your $38 million. We'll give you a 3-year deal for $13 million a year. We'll spread that out over the length of the contract. You'll get more cash. Everybody will be happy. But it's complicated when a guy's 38, because now you're looking at, instead of just kind of spreading it into future years, you're saying, well, how many
spreading out to do?
How many future years does he have? And then your only alternative is a mountain of dead cap. And the Niners this year experience what $100 million of dead cap, feels like. So they're, I'm sure, not in a rush to go there again. And then there was talk like, what will they do? Will they sign him to? Will they keep him on the contract at $38 million? And no, that wasn't going to happen. Will he take less money? No, he's not going to take less money. Why should he take less money? He's still one of the 3 or 4 best tackles in football. And then it's just a matter of, okay, he's not going to take less. He's not going to retire. You're not going to play him. You're not going to keep him at $38 million. So your options are to cut him. And if you cut him, the talk this morning is that Brett Veach and the Kansas City Chiefs are ready to pounce. Or you could do what the Green Bay Packers did just moments ago with Rashawn Gary, which is trade him for nothing. And that basically, and even in that situation, Damon, you're still looking at, I believe, I have it in front of me here. I could call it up for you. Let's see. I believe it's $32 million of dead cap.
There's
say goodbye to him.
Financial gain that you think you get with getting him off your books this year, you're really not going to get it. The leverage that Trent Williams has is, I'm one of the best to do this, and walking away from me doesn't exactly open a door for a brand whole new world of opportunity for you at left tackle, or a lot more money to spend around the rest of your team, because you're not now spending it on me.
Okay, so if they trade him today, they incur a $34 million dead cap hit. So trading him is not attractive, but letting him walk for nothing is even less attractive. So my guess is that since Kansas City seems to be the team that wants him, and the Niners and Kansas City have done deals in the past, my guess is that the 49ers will trade Trent Williams in the next hour or so to Kansas City for fill in the blank. I would say,
let me just be
I would say a 5th round pick, maybe a 4th.
Let me just be crystal clear about this as far as the way I see it. They had an obligation to get a deal done with Trent Williams. even a bite your pillow deal for the 49ers. To go into next year without Trent Williams sounds like an awful bad idea. And then to go into next year without having a real, okay, so the X marks the spot of Trent Williams not being here is you get this, and that. Like, it's, if they don't come back next season with Trent Williams, it's kind of a disaster on this front office, the way I'm looking at it here, Larry. They have absolutely bet on a horse that never gives them anything back. And, you know, if I were a professional athlete, I wouldn't be looking to give hometown deals either. But they saved his career from Washington, where it felt like the whole thing was just about a toxic player versus franchise relationship, as we've seen in the NFL. Trent, I know they haven't won a Super Bowl, but he has eaten very well out here. The 49ers have done an awful lot to take care of Trent Williams' family. And you'd think maybe the path back this late in his career would be he would be willing to leave a little something on the table in the name of, I'm just happy where I am. I want to be here. And if we got a better chance to win big around me by making a little cut, great, I'll do that. But no, Trent's going to the mattresses for the most amount of money humanly possible. And the fact that they didn't anticipate that means they haven't been paying attention to a guy who's been on their team and they've been negotiating and renegotiating with over and over and over again. If Trent Williams is not a 49er week one, it is a failure. It's a failure on this organization, period. I mean,
I totally disagree. He's losing his effectiveness. His cost is going up. You have to make, you're at that fork in the road. Do you want to extend him and have a mountain of debt?
The road was to take last year, though. You don't get here. You don't get to this event horizon.
It was going to end at some point, Damon. It's going to end at some point. He's 38 years old.
But it's got to. But that's the thing. It's got to be
paying him a king's ransom. I'm not saying it's the right move.
It's Niners night to be in control of. This feels like
it's not a dead cap. You don't want to establish another dead cap mountain. I mean, I got no problem moving him. I really don't. To me, this is a move that has to be made. I mean, you can't afford everybody. It's a cap sport. You got a ton of needs. You got this guy, 38 years old, making a ton of cash, and you didn't win with him. You didn't win with him. Your line wasn't good with him. So, it's like, it's one of those things where we all want it to go forever, but your options were, a mountain of dead cap, and you extend him for another year or two, and they don't want to go a mountain of dead cap, so to me, I have a real problem if they release him. I don't have a problem if they traded him, as long as they got a decent haul. Now, I don't know that they are going to. So, I mean, I was saying the other day that, because there was talk about Houston being interested. Houston as a first year or second year now left tackle in Arianti Ursary. And yet they're telling themselves that the reason that CJ Stroud wasn't good isn't that CJ Stroud isn't good. It's just that the surrounding cast around him wasn't good enough. So they've already brought in David Montgomery. They already brought in a new offensive tackle, and they're looking to bring in maybe a new left tackle. So, I mean, heck, if you could move Trent to the Texans and get a young left tackle and a pick and save all that money to spread throughout your roster, I think it's a win. I will agree with you if they just cut him and all of a sudden he's just gone. We also have a report right now. Raj is reporting. It's not actually Raj. It's Josina Anderson, but Raj is sharing. The 49ers have reportedly expressed preliminary interest in trading for Steelers cornerback James Pierre. Huh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So the Niners are looking to trade for interest in cornerback James Pierre, who's a big corner. Big corner. That makes me wonder if Ayuk would be involved, because Pierre doesn't have a ton of value, and Ayuk doesn't have a ton of value. And there's been talk that the Steelers want Ayuk. I don't know. That's something to look for, though. James Pierre, good sized corner, been in the league 3 or 4 years. By the way, the Chiefs are signing Kenneth Walker away from the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow, that's just official right now.
Yeah, according to Ian Rappaport, Chiefs are signing Kenneth Walker, new home for the Seahawks star. So that I didn't expect him to stay.
They're also coming back with one more year. Travis Kelce, I guess.
Yeah, Kelsey's coming back. The Chiefs are signing Kenneth Walker. Yep. Yeah, I just saw that. So the latest on the Niners is that here's the latest that we have right now. Ian Rappaport is reporting that the Niners are open to trading Trent Williams if they can't get a deal done. It doesn't sound like they're going to get a deal done. If you said to me what's going to happen, I'll tell you I think he'll be traded before lunch.
My question is, what team is about to give Trent the money that the 49ers are not willing to give?
Kansas City, if they release him. Kansas City is the team that they say is on the verge of paying him. They released Jawan Taylor. They have offensive tackle needs. They've coveted Trent for a long time. That's where it sounds like he's headed if the Niners release him. But I don't think the Niners are going to release him, Damon, because I do think that there is such a market for a left tackle that somebody will say, we'll give you a 6th-round pick and some mediocre player to jump the line. That would be my guess. Now, I could be wrong, but that would be my guess, is that somebody's going to jump the line for Trent Williams, offering still a crappy deal, but a deal, as opposed to we'll just wait. And maybe it'll be Kansas City. Maybe they'll Buffalo Kansas City out of a pick or a player.
I thought the team needed to draft an offensive lineman with their first pick before Trent Williams was out the door. So if Trent Williams does go out the door, I mean, I really think it's a priority. To me, this is just.
I mean, your defensive line was horrible.
This is a lack of anticipation by the 49ers front office. Doesn't this feel like something that they should have been ahead of a couple of years ago?
This is what happens. I mean, there's a price to be paid for missing. Okay, when you miss on Solomon Thomas, you got to come back with Javon Kinlaw. When you miss with Drake Jackson, you got to come back with Mikael Williams. When you miss at the top of the draft and you're prioritizing D-line, that's the thing. The Niners have prioritized D-line over O-line, and then they've missed on their D-line picks. And so then when it's time to pick again, they always go D-line over O-line. But the thing about it is, before you sit there and crush them, their O-line graded out pretty good. Their D-line was horrible. Had 20 sacks, 6 fewer than the next fewest. The big talk. So let's just get through this headlines here. I'll give you the headlines on the Niners, and we can get into it. James Pierre, according to Josina Anderson, Niners are expressing preliminary trade interest in Steelers corner James Pierre. The Niners are one of 6 teams that were interested in signing Alec Pierce, but he goes back to Indianapolis this morning.
For the biggest free agent money any wide receivers ever signed for.
Yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Couple other notes. The Niners are fans of free agent linebacker Caden Ellis, who was coached by Raheem Morris in Atlanta.
We've talked about him in the past, Larry. We've talked about how he would be a perfect fit on this team, again, with that Raheem Morris connection.
Then we also, I believe that's the only. So coming into today, here were the Niner rumors. Josina Anderson said Alec Pierce had the potential to eclipse $30 million a year and that the Niners would be interested. He goes back to Indy. Supposedly he's got a really good relationship with Daniel Jones, and that was the key there. Diana Rossini is reporting the Niners have free agent interest in Mike Evans. Jeremy Fowler says the Niners are closely watching Romeo Dobbs's market. Demo Lenore went on Twitter over the weekend and tried to recruit Dobbs. Jeremy Fowler also says that, as we just mentioned there, that the Niners like Caden Ellis. Jeremy Fowler also reporting that the Niners are expected to be interested in Jags corner Monteric Brown if he's not re-upped before free agency begins. Brown is a 26-year-old corner who once upon a time was all SEC. He was a 7th-round pick by Jacksonville in 2022. He's a zone corner with kind of iffy speed. The Niners did re-sign John Weeks. They did re-sign Eddie Pinheiro, 4 years, $17 million, $10 million.
That was the good move from this weekend. I like that move. I'm glad that Eddie got paid. I trust him. I like him, and he fills a I mean, he fills a hole that they desperately needed filled by someone who can just get the job done. He's every day at it. He gets the job done.
You had to have him. You had to have him. You had to have him, and you got him done. So that's good. Matt Barrows is reporting that the 49ers may or may not keep Bryce Huff. Cutting him would save only $5.3 million. The Niners are one of 5 teams, according to multiple reports, that has shown interest in trading for Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter, with the others being Seattle, the Bears, the Raiders, and the Packers. We'll get into that in just a second.
That's going to be an expensive trade. Okay.
The Commanders are expected to try to get Brandon Ayuk as soon as he shakes free. There's other wide receivers that are available on the trade market today, including Quentin Johnson, Rashad Bateman, Dontavion Wicks, A.J. Brown, Jordan Addison, Brian Thomas Jr. Supposedly they're all available for a trade today. Couple other notes. San Francisco's number one priority, improve the D-line in the front 7. They got Niners have $38 million in cap space going into free agency. That's 11th most in the league. And then Matt Barrows listed some potential free agent targets, among them Zach Wilson, Romeo Doubs, Dylan Parham, who's the Raiders offensive guard, Joey Bosa, John Franklin Myers. There's a lot of reports this morning that the Niners are going to be one of the big players for John Franklin Myers.
That to me is the name. That now is the number one target that I would like to see the 49ers come away with today. We have watched a couple seasons in a row here, them do really nothing significant on day one. And, teams are their habits. There's not a lot of value to be found on day one of free agency, or the tampering period, whatever we want to call this. But to me, it's time for the Niners to get aggressive, either in building it up or tearing it down. And the fact that today, this hour, this morning, they're thinking about, maybe we are going to trade Trent Williams. That is a massive decision. That is a massive decision that should have been agreed upon weeks ago. You should have been first to marketplace with Trent. You should have let people come at you for the last weeks. You should have been cooking this thing up in the oven more than just popping it in the oven this morning officially.
By the way, on the James Pierre front, he was set to be a free agent, and supposedly there were 8 or 9 interested teams in him in free agency. So that talk about the Niners trading for him was probably a report coming into today. So it'll be interesting to see if he played last year. He played 376 defensive snaps, which wasn't a career high for him. He did produce 11 passes defensed, which matched his career total in his first 4 seasons combined. He only has 1 intercepted pass. Okay, so there you go. He only played 85% of the snaps or more in 3 games. So he's a backup corner with some size, James Pierre. So the 49ers are showing interest in James Pierre. It says trade interest, but it sounds like he's a free agent now. So the trade interest is more of a free agent interest on the Niner front.
Here's the deal, man. If the 49ers are honestly going to be trading Trent Williams, they better get in on some tackle now. Unless you're willing to go to war with a rookie that you take at 27 as your starting left tackle, you better get somebody else on your team right now.
Well, I mean, it's easier said than done. Let's take a look at the free agent offensive tackles are few and far between.
What are we talking, like Jack Conklin?
Well, are you talking? Well, now let's look at left tackles. Okay. So these are left tackles out there in the marketplace available right now. Well, Taylor Decker just got cut by the Lions. He asked for his release. He was given his release. He's been around for a long time. Not as long as Trent. He's 32, but he's been around a long time. So you could replace him with Taylor Decker. There's Cam Robinson. But after that, man, it goes off the cliff.
Are you ready to go to war with DJ Humphries?
No.
Okay, then.
No. But just because you're not willing to go to war with DJ Humphries is not a real reason to keep extending. Rasheed Walker's another name down the list here from Green Bay. They're saying he may get a big payday in free agency. I mentioned the Houston Texans because Trent is from Houston. There was talk that the Texans are really eager to get him, and they have a second-year offensive tackle in Ariante Ursary. So I would take Ariante Ursary in a day 3 pick. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you're looking to, to cleanse your cap, and you can get a replacement tackle in a draft choice, I think that's probably the best you can expect. Now, this idea that the Niners could get a second-round pick, I mean, that was it's funny. I was throwing out, hey, if you can get a second-round pick for Trent, get it and get down the road. And there were so many Niner fans who were like, you need to retire. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, I get it. It's like, I get it. You're basically saying you're announcing to everybody, the emperor has no clothes. I get it. It doesn't sound like a smart move, but you don't have a lot of choices. And if somebody was going to sit there and offer you a day 2 pick for a 38-year-old player that you can't really afford anymore, that's a gift. That's a gift. You got to take that and run. I would say this. I would do it for Ariante Ursary in a 5th. I would do it for a replacement tackle in a midday 3 pick, just because, I think it's important that they move this player off their cap and start anew. He's 38. He's going downhill. He's not going to play a full season. He doesn't practice. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's been a great Niner, but at some point the cost outweighs the production. And I think this is that pivot. I think whoever gets him now is going to get a guy who plays infrequently and costs a ton.
Here's the thing, though. Is it time to just say Trent Williams's trade is the official closing of any window that we were talking about?
Well, okay, no, that whole that's a media creation.
Now look, there's not a single
players
team
don't
not trying to win. I give you that. I give you that.
There is no window. There is the window in the NFL. I mean, if we're really going to be honest about this, the window in the NFL is tied to the quarterback and the head coach. If you have the quarterback and the head coach, your window is technically open. If you don't have the quarterback and head coach, it is most definitely not. They do have the quarterback, I believe, and they do have the head coach. So I think their window is open. But you're right, Damon. I mean, we don't need this to announce to us that the window or the era is coming to an end. They got beat 41-6 by their rivals. They got smoked by the Rams and Seahawks badly in the last 3 games.
That's the window. That's maybe the window closing right there.
That was the indicator. Yeah.
So is it time to talk Bosa? I mean, if you're going to be trading for, if it's now more about your present and your future, or maybe even more than your present, it is your future now. Is it time to have hard conversations about Nick Bosa? Or are they going to wait for him to have very little value left to the 49ers and the remainder of the NFL before they decide to move him? Again, a year too early, better than a year too late. To me, when I look at Mac Jones was a pretty sexy quarterback. He gets less sexy the more quarterbacks hit the market. And there's another one who hit it today. Say whatever you want about Tua, but if you want Tua, you can go get him now. I think teams would be more interested in Tua than Mac Jones. And I do think so. I mean, look, Tua, whatever you want to say about him, the guy had led the NFL in passing yards. He had done things as a starter that were more significant than really any portion of Mac Jones's career so far. I'm not a big Tua fan. I'm not an advocate.
I think he stinks, man.
Player.
The Dolphins released him today.
They did. And biggest dead cap record ever, 99.2 in dead cap money across 2 seasons now for the Miami Dolphins.
I don't like him at all. I never have. He doesn't read coverage. He's not durable. He's had a ton of injuries, including a hip injury. He's a lefty who kind of sprays it. Sometimes he looks super accurate. Other times he doesn't. I'm not a Tua guy.
Look, he was a Pro Bowler. He did lead the NFL in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and passer rating. He has done those things in his career. So, was there a fall off? Was there an adjustment? The league adjusted to him, figured him out. Yeah. I mean, obviously Miami's moving on here. But
Miami has good weapons too. Miami's had some of the fastest weapons and lots of separation.
To me, though, the way I look at it, just like if you're the Dolphins, why did you move on from Mike McDaniel if you now admit Tua was the problem?
Well, I think it's a combination. They first of all, these things are never as simple as one thing, right? I mean, you've got front office stress, you've got coaching stress, you've got player stress, and you never know how the owner is going to see it and what kind of conversations were had along the way. Relationships fracture. By the way, the Falcons, according to the reports this morning, are the team that's likely to pursue Tua Tagovailoa, and that takes the Falcons maybe off the Mac Jones list. To me, the team to watch in the Mac Jones thing is the Dolphins. I just really think the Dolphins are going to wind up, Mac Jones is from Florida. Dolphins have 3 third-round picks. They have a 2nd-round pick. They have all kinds of players that the Niners would want. Devin Achane would be a very good Niner. Malik Washington would be a very good Niner. They traded Minka today. They're in kind of a fire sale mode.
You telling me that as the Jets returned to the Dolphins a 7th-round pick, wouldn't you have flipped one of the 49ers 6th-round picks for Minka Fitzpatrick today?
Well, it's about salary. It's about who's going to. Not only did the Jets acquire him, but they also extended
a $40 million deal. Yeah,
yeah, and he's an older player who was seeking an extension. I mean, that's what you're seeing today. You're seeing older. I mean, like, for example, give you another example. You just threw that one out. Here's another one. The Green Bay Packers today traded Rashawn Gary to the Dallas Cowboys, and they traded him to the Dallas Cowboys for not much. Let's see. He goes to the Cowboys, and a day 3 pick in the 2027 draft is headed back the other way. So what did they do? They took another player, a veteran player who has a big cap figure and is going to want, big money. And they decided, we're not going to pay him. We're not going to give him away because he's coveted enough. So Dallas will give us a day 3 pick. And the same thing's going to happen with Trent. And the Niners are going to give Trent away, for basically nothing. And they're going to get, they may get more than a 2027 day 3 pick. They may get an Ariante or Suri and a mid-round pick because left tackle is such a severe need, and there's only so many of these guys out there. There's far more edge rush options out there for Dallas.
21 seconds to go in. Hold on, Larry. I was messing around here early, and I know how things work now. Are you ready? Adam Schefter is reporting that Jalen Phillips has agreed to a 4-year, $120 million deal with the Carolina Panthers, $80 million guaranteed. How about that?
Yeah, that's Dan Morgan, the general manager there, the former Hurricane linebacker, and he's looking to put that thing together, and he's got a lot of money to spend. Carolina's, right there with the top spenders. So we talked about Trent for a second.
Here, Commanders Pro Bowl left tackle Jeremy Tunsil has reached an agreement on a 2-year, $60 million contract to stay in Washington. $61.5 million in guarantees, including the biggest signing bonus for an offensive lineman in NFL history at $32.5 million for Tunsil.
Yep, and he's a hell of a player. Even gas mask and all
gas
on
mask
draft
on,
day.
Baby. Strap the gas mask on.
Doesn't matter if he had the gas mask or not. What matters is if you're a tackle who can pass protect. If you're a tackle who can pass protect, you can wear the gas mask. But let's talk a little bit about Bosa, because this came up over the weekend. And once again, I got all kinds of people mad at me because there was a report out of Philadelphia, or not out of Philadelphia. There was a report indicating that the Eagles were taking phone calls on Jalen Carter. And I called Chase Sr., who covers the Eagles, and I said, hey, what do you know about this? And he's like, hey, look, there's been talk of this. And bottom line is the Eagles are in a pickle, right? They've got Jordan Davis, they just gave him a 3-year, $78 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. They can't afford to pay 2 defensive tackles north of $60 million a year in a cap sport. They're also paying Quinyon Mitchell. They're paying Cooper DeJean. They're paying A.J. Brown. Jalen Carter is in the last year of a rookie contract. He makes he's looking for a $30 million a year per year extension. Okay. He wants an extension. They have a lot of other good players. This guy's also had some problems with the law. There was a guy named Easton Butler, who's a Packers media guy. He tweeted out that 5 teams have called the Eagles about a trade for Carter, including the Niners. He listed Green Bay, Chicago, the Niners, Seattle, and the Raiders. Now, Green Bay has no first-round picks in 26 or 27 because of the Parsons deal.
The Parsons deal, yeah.
Chicago's got Montez Sweat on the other end making a ton of cash. I can't see them doing it. The Raiders, though, are armed with all those picks they just got from Baltimore for Max Crosby. Now, the question is, do they want to not pay Max Crosby and now turn around and trade those picks for Jalen Carter? It seems like the Raiders as an organization would be the last place I think Carter ought to go. He seems like he lacks discipline. They're an organization that has no leadership. I think that would be a disaster. So then it comes down to the Niners and Seattle. And here's the ultimate question. There's 2 questions here. One, are the Eagles shopping Jalen Carter, or are the Eagles just getting calls on Jalen Carter because they extended Jordan Davis and everybody can see the handwriting on the wall that they can't afford 2 defensive tackles? That's the first question.
Well, now that
shopping
Jalen Phillips is gone, I mean, Jalen Phillips gone for so much money means bringing Carter back might be a lot more digestible for Howie Roseman now.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Here's another way to look at it. If you look at Philly's depth chart, this is what Philly has. Jalen Phillips, free agent. This is defensive ends. Azeez Ojulari, free agent. Brandon Graham, free agent. Ogbo Agarankwo, free agent. Josh Uche, free agent. They have 5 defensive ends that are free agents. The only defensive ends they have under contract are Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith, and they're both kind of more like outside linebacker types. So while that's going on, Philly does have awesome depth at tackle. They have Jordan Davis. They have Moro Ajomo, who's 295 pounds. They have Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. They have Byron Young, the former Raider. So they actually have, Damon, a number of good defensive tackles, and they're really thin at defensive end. Now, I looked at that and said, well, are the Eagles going to trade Jalen Carter away for a pick or picks? Or do they want a defensive end? The talk was that the Jalen Carter was offered to the Raiders for Max Crosby. So the natural pivot would be, well, maybe they'll go sign Trey Hendrickson, or maybe if they're going to trade Jalen Carter, maybe they would want Nick Bosa. And I threw this out yesterday as a poll question, and lots of people were just attacking me on this thing.
Well, I mean, you're not doing any good PR for yourself if you're talking about trading Nick Bosa to the Eagles. That's a great way to start a torch riot against you.
I know. But, the bottom line is Nick Bosa is not getting younger. Nick Bosa is coming off his 3rd ACL on the same ACL. Jalen Carter, let's talk about Jalen Carter for a second. He's a 24-year-old defensive tackle who is a force. He's been an all-pro. He's been a Pro Bowler. He's a game-changing player inside. And he's 24 years old. So, the 49ers John Lynch said, my number one goal of the offseason is it's coming across the scroll here. 49ers put Williams on trade block. That's interesting. But it's coming. But I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to, pay Nick Bosa more and more and more money as he gets older and more
younger? You getting younger? Yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, John Lynch said the number one goal for the offseason is to improve the defensive front. He didn't say edge. He didn't say pass rush. He said to improve the defensive front. Damon, I'll tell you this, and I said it the other day on a stream. I may have said it to you, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. The Niners need some badass dudes up front. Look at what Seattle has. Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy. They've got, DeMarcus Lawrence. They got some killers up front. Who do the Niners have? CJ West, really nice guy. Alfred Collins, really nice guy. They got a really nice guy defensive line.
I don't know. Don't confuse kindness with weakness. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying they're weak. I'm just saying they don't have that glass cutter. They don't have a Chris Jones. They don't have a Charles Haley. They don't have a guy that you go, Jesus, this guy's a menace. Oh, right. Man. They don't have an Alden. They don't have a Justin Smith. I
just about to say Justin Smith. Did you see the conversation that Justin Smith had on someone's podcast where he basically said, yeah, the very first night I showed up with the Niners, I went to Joe Staley's house and punched him. Because you always pick on the biggest, toughest guy to let everyone know that there's a new biggest, toughest guy in town. Like first Justin Smith
would have loved to have seen that. That's like
fight.
It's like King Kong against Godzilla.
And then he took all of his tiki furniture and apparently threw it in a bonfire in his backyard. Now, the very next day, Justin
Staley's furniture? He burned up Staley's furniture?
Yes. Now, the very next day, Justin Smith had a whole new backyard furniture set apparently delivered. And that's how things got cool and they became friends. But, this is straight up prison rules. You get into a fight on day one, and that's how you earn your stripes. By the way, just letting you know that the rich get richer. The Rams are signing two-time Pro Bowl champion cornerback Jalen Watson to a 3-year, $51 million deal, $31 million guaranteed, basically the best of the 49ers.
What happened there? The Rams got who?
The Rams are adding another cornerback from Kansas City, Jalen Watson, 3-year, $51 million deal. That is
Don't love that, but we got a couple other things breaking here as well. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to the Steelers. So the Steelers get the Colts wide receiver and scratch that trade idea of Mac Jones to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are signing Malik Willis. The new quarterback has landed. It's a 3-year deal for $67.5 million with $45 fully guaranteed.
By the way, that's a lot less than the market was talking about. Malik was going to get $30 million a year, which I just thought was insane. Okay, so take another destination for Mac Jones off the board right there.
Miami's not going to be it. It doesn't sound like Atlanta's going to be it. Doesn't sound like Minnesota's going to be it. What's left? Arizona? There is talk that the Raiders. There's a lot of talk that the Raiders.
What's left is you're coming back with a really good backup quarterback if you're the 49ers, and you're going to need that because Brock Purdy is going to die on the field this year without Trent Williams protecting his blind side if he's really gone.
Do you really need a backup quarterback if you're in a rebuild? If the Niners move Trent Williams.
Wait a minute. So what is it then? You just said there's no such thing as a window that's closed, but you're saying it's a rebuild. So
there is no such thing as the window being closed as long as you have a quarterback.
Right.
But if you're, who's going to be the left tackle? It's like you can move off of Trent Williams, but who's it going to be? Is it going to be like just whoever's left in the building, like Austin Pleasance, or is it going to be a legitimate left tackle that you trade for? That's the rub here. It's not just they may trade Trent Williams. It's like they may trade Trent Williams and they need a left tackle. So, it's like, what are they going to get coming back? My thing is just like, look, if you're going to turn this thing over, maybe it's time to turn it over.
Really turn it over. None of this half-stepping, half.
You don't need Mac Jones. You don't need Mac Jones if you're turning it over. And you don't need Bosa, and you don't need, it's like, the idea of, people were really turned off to the idea of trading away the core. But the bottom line is, are you getting closer to the Super Bowl? People are always like, well, let's give it another year. Well, guess what? If you give it another year and you fall on your face, none of these guys are worth anything. Timing's everything. Go ask Joe Lacob about the timing of trades. You could have moved Jonathan Kuminga for something good. Instead, you waited, and got basically a corpse in Chris Porzingis. So it's like, yeah, you gotta strike when the iron's hot. I mean, I don't think they want to pay Trent. I think they're going to get down the road on that. It would be interesting, though. The Jalen Carter thing is really interesting from the standpoint of, man, when the Niners tried to keep it rolling in the 90s, when the dynasty was coming to an end, they took a shot on some guys with questionable character, Lawrence Phillips, and it did not go well.
Right, like stung them to the point where they refuse to do it anymore.
Are they going to take another issue? They going to have another issue here where, in a desperation mode to keep everything going, they do the dance with some bad guys? Now, here's the thing. Dante Whitner was talking about this a month ago, and I brought it up on Niners Nightly on KMBR, which is, Dante's point is it's time for the Niners to go for some badass dudes. And Jalen Carter is exactly what he's talking about. Jalen Carter's not a criminal, but he did have a situation where he drove too fast and a person died. And he also has a situation where he spit on Dak Prescott. That's never a good look.
Right. He was ejected on before kickoff or something in that game. That was weird.
Out of week one.
Yeah.
And there's people that question his character and his actions away from the field. So, there's questions there. But he's undoubtedly an awesome player. He would be, I do kind of agree with Whitner that the Niners need to take a look at all of the players out there, even the rough ones, because some of the best players in football are rough.
Like, to me, that goes without saying, though. That's like saying, today when you're breathing, try oxygen. Like, no shit. You look at everybody.
They haven't. They've steered clear of these guys. They don't want bad actors. This is the Ray McDonald. Remember what happened with Ray McDonald and some of those guys in the Harbaugh era? Jed didn't like the fact that there were a lot of people that didn't like the fact that you were rooting for guys that weren't good guys, that were bad guys. We
also saw them, this is the same front office who was like, hey, instead of checking Alden into rehab today, let's get another game out of him. We'll bring him tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I don't think anybody was passing the purity test with flying colors. And I'm not here for purity tests either. I really don't give a shit. I want winning football players. So I agree with Dante Whitner on that. But at the same time, these guys are massive investments. And if you make an investment that then proves himself unplayable because he's behind bars or unserviceable for whatever league suspension he might be under, then you're screwed too.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a balance beam. You got to be careful with these choices. You really do. You got to meet a guy. You got to talk to a guy. You got to. How do you see inside another man's heart? Is he good? Is he bad? I don't know.
I know. The bottom line is, though, you can't just discount everybody who's runs a little hot.
By the way, John Simpson to a 3-year, $30 million deal. So he's a good offensive lineman, and there's a possible upgraded guard.
Who's that?
Coming to the 49ers. That is John Simpson, offensive lineman, back to the Ravens.
Back to the Ravens. Okay. So, yeah, the former Clemson player. We also have this breaking. I don't know if it's breaking, but I'm just seeing this for the first time. Wait, hold on a second.
What do you got?
We got a report here on X saying Adam Schefter saying the Niners are expected to lose Juwan Jennings in free agency per Adam Schefter. Is that news or not? Oh, the New York Giants are signing Isaiah Likely away from the Ravens, 3 years, $40 million deal. So
the John Harbaugh connection makes that pretty obvious.
Yeah, so he's going to the New York Giants. They're showing Romeo Doubs highlights, or maybe it's Malik Willis highlights. But according to Adam Schefter, the Niners are expected to lose Juwan Jennings in free agency. I got that vibe a month ago when he was weepy at his locker. I mean, he's not a weepy guy. And, it's like the last day at the locker cleanout, he's like in tears almost, and you could tell he's like crestfallen. I don't know if they had told him like that morning, hey, we're not going to extend you, or we're not coming anywhere close to where your market is, so today's your last day. He clearly knew that it was his last day with the 49ers in any kind of real capacity. And he was he's drafted and groomed in the Niner, he was an original Niner draft pick. So the Niners are the only team he's ever known. So, Jennings was weepy. I think all things being equal, I think he would rather have stayed, Damon. But, I agree with this move to not pay him. I just, as much as I like him, as much as I think he's a warrior, his price tag in free agency has exceeded his worth, his value. So to me, I have no problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that. But again, if you were unimpressed with the 49ers wide receiver room with him, and he was their most productive wide receiver, what do they got without him? They've got opportunity to now give to young guys that they're so reluctant to give to young guys. They hardly got on the field last year. So they need to do something. I would be very, very happy if the 49ers within the next half hour or 45 minutes let the whole world know that they were agreeing to a contract with Wan'Dale Robinson. It needs to happen. Alec Pierce off the board now. Go and get a productive, proven veteran receiver that there's no doubts about. Get me a guy that if he had played for the 49ers in any season since Anquan Bolden played for the 49ers, he would have led the 49ers in receptions that season with just last year's production alone when he had 90 catches. So the Niners.
I love Wan'Dale. I mean, he caught 90 balls from a horrible quarterback in a crappy offense.
In a bad situation. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you put him, and he's got some run after the catch ability, he's not the biggest receiver ever, but if you put him in the Niners offense, I think he'd catch 100 balls. I really do. I think he'd have 100 receptions.
I don't know if Shanahan will ever run an offense that allows a wide receiver to catch 100 balls, which is something that I think Mike Evans might be tired about, but be a little bit worried about, is Mike Evans has the checks, he wants a lot of volume.
Well, dude, the Niners have nothing but they have nothing. Who else are they going to throw it to?
Oh, I hear you.
Kittle? No.
But they'll still find a way to not feed somebody. By the way, Debo will wonder, what if you see that? What if that's the news today? Debo's back.
Debo's coming. I told you weeks ago Debo's coming back. I don't know why nobody else heard that the way I heard that, but there's just no doubt he's coming back. And I understand why he's coming back. He's coming back because they want to have, some continuity on their core. They want to have some continuity there, and I think they're going to say goodbye to Ricky. So, and then they said goodbye to JJ, and they're already said goodbye to Ayuk, and you know what I mean. So what's left?
Larry, we're almost an hour into this show. Thanks to everyone for being here. And boy, it feels like the regular season today. We have over 2,400 people, Larry, watching across all the platforms that we are co-streaming on right now. So welcome, everybody. Hit like and subscribe. This is the place you need to be. Wake up for your off-season news. And today is always an interesting day. Will the 49ers be a part of it? I mean, that's the thing. They have sat out day one of free agency too many years in a row. Now, I don't think you can be day one of free agency every year. But if there was ever a year to get out there and get aggressive on something, it feels like now is the time. So I really hope that the Niners do something today.
Why do you say that?
Because I think they're letting good opportunities pass them by.
I will say this. I think they need to make a move because of the freaking substation story. I think you've got to break your maiden on the free agent. You can't sit there and not sign anybody until day 3 and allow the substation crowd to sit there and go, see, you can't. You gotta sign somebody just to send that message that it's business as usual. Players are going to sign here, and because I mean it's nothing until it's something. Perception becomes reality. If I were them, that would be one of the things I would be aware of. Couple things before we hit some supers here. One, we're the Krug Show, of course, on our side, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera, and they're soon to open in Petaluma. They're open 7 days a week. Get some brisket chili. Tell them Krug sent you. Also, the Krug Show brought to you by our good friends at Alomar Marina. You can float on the Sacramento River while you eat. Check them out, alomarmarina.net. They're at 5999 Garden Highway. Great restaurant right there on the water. You can't miss it. Awesome spot. And thanks to Novato Chevrolet and my guy David Corral. He's the man to go see. Go see David Corral at Novato Chevrolet. He'll give you a screaming deal. Tell him that Krug sent you. The owner of Novato Chevrolet is a guy named Gus, really nice guy. Thanks to Novato Chevrolet for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And also thanks to Sharp Corner, sports cards and collectibles. They're in Monterey, the great Anthony Catania. There are links in the description for all of our sponsors. And thanks to all of them for sponsoring the Krug Show on this end. And I know Damon has sponsors on his side.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks so much to Ike's Sandwiches, of course. They have a special Thursday rollout they're doing because Ike's, 48th birthday falls on March 26th. So every Thursday, there's a sandwich special coming up this Thursday on March 12th. You buy a sandwich, you get your second sandwich for $9. On March 19th, you buy a second sandwich for $8. On March 26th, you get your second sandwich for just $4.80 because Ike is going to be 48 years old. Use Ike B-Day as your promo code to make sure that kicks in. So, again, thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate you coming on by today. Hit like and subscribe on both of our channels if you would, please. And we are just sitting here waiting for the 49ers to do something, either trade a quarterback that might be an asset in Mac Jones for some other team to get some picks. Again, the trade that if you were going to make a trade for Trent Williams, you should probably have done that. I don't know, like a week ago. So you could be a little bit more aggressive today in maybe your offensive line choices. It just feels like the 49ers back into this day all the time instead of running into it. Now, I'm not saying you need to run up to the podium making bad choices, overspending on names that are, going at ultra premium prices. But that's where the talent is.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know what you wanted to see. What I wanted to see was what I want to see this offseason is I want to see new faces. And what I want to see is I want to see that the 49ers are not out of ideas. I don't want to see the same old. I don't want to see what I saw last year. Every single time somebody got hurt, here was somebody who used to be here who's not very good anymore. Here's Jeff Wilson again. Here's Kendrick Bourne again. Here's Malik whatever again. Here's this guy again, that guy again. Enough. Do you have any new ideas? Do you have any? I know Shanahan, like this guy 3 years ago. When have you made an evaluation recently? I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them bring in new players. I also want to see them. DeMario Davis, by the way, signing with the Jets, 2 years, $22 million, $15 million guaranteed. It's year 15 for DeMario Davis, who just turned 37. But I want to see them not fall in love with their players. So I'm okay if they say goodbye to the core. I'm okay if they say goodbye to Trent. I'm okay if they trade Bosa. I'm okay if they, say goodbye to a number of their sacred cows. I'm okay with that because I understand you got to turn this thing over. And my main concern is that Lynch and Shanahan are too tied to their players and that they're going to go too far with the Bosas, too far with the Trents, too far with the Warners, too far with the Kittles and the CMCs. And it's like, no, you got to make tough decisions. You got to make, you can't just fall in love with all these guys. So I want to see them show that they have some new ideas and that they're not just falling in love with the same old, because, they ran it back. They ran it back again. They ran it back. It's like, we're done running it back. The Rams are better. Seattle's better. They're younger. They're cheaper. They're better. And it's time for real moves. I'm really okay with them moving on from a lot of their core. Now, I know a lot of their Niner fans are not, because I could see it in the comments. People are like, Krug, how could you trade Bosa? Krug, how could you trade Trent Williams? It's like, bro, sorry, man. It's like, this is pro football. This is pro football. There's no room for sentimentality in pro football. So
let's talk wide receivers. I mean, Mike Evans. Are you going to wait for somebody to cut the line and get to Mike Evans before you get to him? Because I think you need to add a player like that. Again, Wan'Dale Robinson. I saw somebody they're
totally different guys, though. One guy, Wan'Dale Robinson's 25 years old.
Right.
Mike Evans is like close to 35 years old.
Hey, get me both. Get me both.
I mean, but I don't know that. How does Mike Evans? I mean, I don't know. I'd rather. I want to see them build something.
Right. Mike Evans is a better idea than he is a player at this point. I'm afraid he'd just be another
he's a good player, but he's just older.
Yeah, and he gets hurt far too often. But there is there's no reason to not have Romeo Doubs or Wan'Dale Robinson on this team by supper time tonight. I think it should happen.
There's a lot of talk that Doubs to the Niners is like a foregone conclusion. I don't know if you saw that in the last day, but there's a lot of people that are saying that Doubs to the Niners is like a fait accompli. That's like that is absolutely going to happen. I like the idea of Romeo Doubs. I know people are making fun of that move, but it's like you're going to look really stupid if you're making fun of that move because this guy's produced at a really good level on a Green Bay team that had a lot of mouths to feed that didn't really throw him the ball that much. So I think Romeo Doubs in the 49er system could be a high volume guy. And I think he's a definite upgrade on Juwan Jennings. I mean, they're very similar. They're both like continuity pieces. They catch the ball on third down in the end zone, in the red zone. They're money players, but I like Doubs more than I like JJ. I'd pay Doubs more than I'd pay JJ.
Got a breaking news here for you. Former Saints linebacker Demario Davis has reached an agreement with the New York Jets. 2 years, $22 million. That includes $15 million guaranteed. So Demario Davis returns to the Jet. He was a Jet, wasn't he? Yeah, he was a Jet. He's back there now. What else we got here?
We got another one here. Look at this one.
Austin Hooper back with the Falcons. It's a 3-year. It's a 1-year deal for $3.25 million. Austin Hooper, decent tight end.
De La Salle. Easton Butler, who had the story on Jalen Carter, has this story out. The 49ers have been receiving calls about linebacker Fred Warner, with the New York Giants being one of the calls per sources. Wow. Would the 49ers pull the trigger on trading away Fred Warner? My God, that seems so unlikely.
I mean, so I know you don't want to use the word rebuild, but if something like that were happening, Larry, you're in a rebuild.
I mean, they can't even say rebuild. Here's the thing. What if you go sign John Franklin Myers? Now that's a veteran defensive tackle. And what if you still move on from Trent Williams and some of your other players? It's like, well, what is it? Are you going for it? Or are you not? I like the idea of trading for Jalen Carter. I really do. To me, I know it's a little bit of a risk, but Jalen Carter is an absolute menace inside. And to me, that's an interesting one. Chase Sr. weighing in on the Trent Williams thing as well. Do you want to hear what Chase has to say?
Yeah, what's Chase have to say about it? Let's take a listen.
We will, hold on a second. I will get that for you. I will put that up there. You see it already, but you don't hear it. Hold on. Hear it.
Of $38 million. We have some breaking 49ers news right at the start of NFL free agency, and it has to do with Trent Williams. But first, I'm going to be live all week talking about every Niners signing, every big Niners news item. So don't forget to give me a follow and subscribe. We know that Trent Williams is going to be 38 years old once the 2026 season comes around. And he's one of the most decorated and best offensive tackles of all time. But his cap number in 2026 is north of $38 million, approaching $39 million. He wants a new deal. But the Niners, of course, are wary about giving him a new contract given his age. And so this report just came out from Ian Rappaport that the Niners are now said to be open to trading left tackle Trent Williams, sources say, if the situation doesn't get resolved. A resolution has not been easy, and Williams is frustrated with the process. He's due $32 million in salary. I said last week I wouldn't be surprised if he got dealt. This situation worth monitoring. This is what you call hardball here.
Yeah, no question.
Is it hardball or is it bad planning? Is it a lack of anticipation? I mean, when are the Niners going to be in front of one of their own headlines?
It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango. They knew that when they gave him this contract that they weren't going to pay him $38 million. I think he probably knew they weren't going to pay him $38 million. But the difference between this time and other times is that in the past, they would just, kick it out a few more years, convert some base to bonus. All of a sudden, he's getting a nice cash payout. He's got a couple more years on his deal. But now he's at a point where, he's at an age where they don't want to kick it out 3 more years because they're staring at a mountain of dead cap. So they don't want to do that. So then it's a matter of, do you pay him? Do you extend him? Or do you trade him? And I think you trade him. And I've been saying it for a few days. I think he's gone. I really do. I think Trent's gone. The question is this: do they get more than what the Packers got for Rashawn Gary, which was like, hey, we're going to sign him, we're going to trade him to you, Dallas, and you're going to give us like whatever it was, 5th or 6th round pick.
How old is Rashawn Gary?
27. He's not old. 28, maybe.
28.
Yeah, he's in his 20s. So, I mean, but now you've got Trent. Trent's 38, but he also plays that premium position, left tackle. And there's only so many of these guys. And he's still playing at a really high level. And Kansas City wants him, and I'm sure there's probably 3 or 4 other teams that want him. So the question is, the Niners are not going to get fair value for Trent. No, they won't. But they are going to get some value. Now, the question is, do they get a 6th-round pick and a player, or do they get, a 3rd-round pick or a 2nd-round pick and a higher pick? That's the question.
And it's Gainwell to the Buccaneers. It's a 2-year, $14 million deal for a very good running back.
Yeah, and now that's another one. The Buccaneers have Sean Tucker, who played at Syracuse, who's a younger back, who they cut loose. That might be an opening for the Niners to go after.
A lot of production. And, for a guy who didn't get many touches, he was in the end zone on a lot of those touches.
Who's that? Tucker or Gainwell?
Yeah, Tucker.
Yeah. Tucker's, they're both really, I like Gainwell too, but, I don't know that that one makes as much sense for the 49ers. All right, let's hit our 18 supers here before they get too far down.
Right.
Road here. We got this one from Thomas Selman. If we trade Trent, sign Dobbs or Pierre, draft a left tackle. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's, maybe it's a Caleb Lowe.
Alec Pierce done. That already happened again. We're getting to some of these that came in early. Pierce is off the board.
James Foster says, Ike sent me $3 in my Ike sandwich app this morning. How can I get a sandwich for lunch today?
How can I not get a sandwich? Well, you have to. Go get yourself a delicious sandwich.
Oh, how can you not get it? Yeah, seriously, you got to do it. Mateo, Trent, contract-wise, has never done a solid for the team. Enough of this. We love our players, BS. This is business. The players beat you at it too often. Yeah, well, the bottom line is I never, ever, and neither should any of you, fault any NFL player for getting every nickel, because when it's over, and the teams make far more than the players, and the players are the workforce. So I'm sorry, but I will not ever call an NFL player who risks paralysis and plays a sport that is far and away the most popular in America. And there's no guaranteed money. These guys are gladiators. I will never put them down. You have this one from, what is that? Lauren? I can't even read
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo Gonzalez. Just don't sign Dobbs. We have enough backup wide receivers. Dobbs is way better than a backup wide receiver.
He would instantly become the best wide receiver on the football team if they signed him.
Yeah. Don't sign Dobbs because we need to throw it to fucking Ricky Pearsall.
He's not a pure number one wide receiver. Well, guess what? You ain't in the pure number one wide receiver business. You ain't even close yet.
Yeah. 49er says, you both tore me apart on a previous live stream for asking what price is too high for Trent. And now all anyone can talk about is trading him. What gives? Ha ha.
To me, it's a lack of anticipation. I mean, Trent.
Do we really tear you apart? I mean,
we'll
show me the example of us tearing you apart when you said trading Trent.
Well,
now,
look, I think we both said that's just, it ain't going to happen. Like, it ain't going to happen because it can't happen. They don't have a backup, a replacement. They don't have it. Well, it is now because they didn't get a deal done. Yeah. Getting the deal done or moving on from him a year ago was the right thing to do. Now they're going to get no value to move him. There's going to be no extraordinary cost-saving mechanism that explains it away. And the most important offensive lineman. How about this? With Trent Williams, you were a middle-of-the-road offensive line. Without Trent Williams, you're a bottom third offensive line in this league. And if you're a bottom third offensive line in this league, you ain't going to the playoffs. The offensive line has always been, will always be the most important position group on a football team. And the Niners are coming up from behind.
We'll see. We'll see. The 49ers have, won Super Bowls with offensive lines, I thought, that weren't as good as the one.
But you know what they did? But they were also way ahead of the time. That era does not exist anymore. They had an offense that literally redefined the way every single coach in the world looked at the sport of football. And that was their advantage. It's like the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors played a style of basketball that nobody else played. And then the Warriors offense just became offense. West Coast offense is just now offense. Everybody does it or a version of it. So it's not like there is any, because we do this, we can get away with smaller, lesser valued offensive linemen because the ball is out so fast in a passing game that no one is anticipating. Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
They go for different type of linemen, though. They don't like the big, powerful linemen. They like guys who can get out and run.
Right. How many Super Bowls in the last 30 years of this philosophy? How many titles?
Who's gone to more Super Bowls than the Niners in recent?
In the last 30 years. In the last 30 years, I'm just saying that I don't think you can defend their team building, and say it got them what they wanted.
I don't know. They've been probably outside of the Chiefs. They've probably been the most successful team of this era. 49er Hal says you both tore me apart.
We did that. We did that already. We did that with Hal.
I know. I'm going to address it now. It depends when you said it. If you said it in week 5, if you said it last week, it would be one thing. But if you said it, months ago, yeah, trading Trent Williams was not really on the table months ago. We have this one from what was that? Lyle Bolliard. Trade Trent and use the draft capital to move up and get the best left tackle in this year's draft.
You're not going to get that much capital back to do that.
Yeah, you're not getting. I don't think you guys are getting this. You're not getting real draft capital. It's not like you're trading Trent Williams for what Trent Williams is worth. You're going to get something on your way to cutting him. Everybody thinks you're going to cut him.
Getting a 4th round pick for Trent Williams. No way.
Yeah, I would say, well, we don't know, but I would say that's probably the neighborhood. 4th, 5th, 6th. My guess is with a player.
Right. That doesn't move you up with your number 1 into the top 10 to get whoever you think is the best offensive lineman, best tackle is in this draft.
There's a lot of good tackles in this draft, by the way, and you don't necessarily have to be super high to get one. In my opinion, Big Tone says trade Fred Warner, 29, dumb as hell. Well, yeah, but the bottom line on this thing is, you can trade. Most players you can't trade. The players that you can trade, 29 sounds young, but 29 isn't young. 29 is, that's kind of old in the NFL.
Well, it's
guys
there.
retire at 32.
You start to look at getting into your 30s. You are becoming the older guy in the room. And I will also say this guy, the thing about Fred is he's missed basically no games up until this past season. The tread has got to be worn off his tire. Now, it's not seen in the way that he plays. I mean, it had to take a broken ankle to get him off the field. He's a badass. He's the best middle linebacker maybe in football. I'm not trading.
I mean, if it came right down to it, should the Niners trade picks for a singular player to help their old core get a ring, or should the Niners trade the old core to get more picks to then build the young core? That's really the debate that we're having. And I'm would be in the category that says you have a better chance to win the Super Bowl by trading away your veteran core for picks and rebuilding than you do of trading a bunch of picks away to try to get one more player to help you run with the Rams or Seahawks. I don't see it. I don't see it. The Niners. They didn't have Warner. They didn't have Bosa. They didn't have McHale. So what? Put them all right there in the playoffs, and they're not beating Seattle. I don't buy that. So if it really came down, Damon, if you had to go one way or the other, you got to trade all your Warners, Bosas, Trents for picks, or you got to trade all your picks for one great player that can help those guys potentially get the ring that they.
Well, you're not one player away for sure. And look at it this way. If you really think you're a guy away, spend the money on Trey Hendrickson. Go. Yeah. You don't need to move a single pick to do that.
Thomas Selman says the Niners have Kyle and a great quarterback. The window is open. I do understand the concept of, because windows are so often tied to, do you have a chance? Do you have a chance is tied to, do you have a quarterback? So they're like, if you don't have a quarterback, you have no chance. To me, if you have a quarterback that you think can win a Super Bowl with, which how many teams have that, then I think you got a chance. Then you got to cross compare that to of those teams, do you have a head coach that you think can win a Super Bowl with? I think the Niners have that, but that's starting to be all they have is the quarterback and the head coach. They have no Kittle. CMC's coming off a rough year. There's no Debo. There's no Ayuk. There's no Jennings. It's like you don't have weapons. You don't have weapons. Damon's right. Your offensive line's, whether we want to debate it to the end of the earth or not, it's not good enough. And your defense has holes everywhere you look.
And two of the best.
And you were the worst pass rush team in the sport.
Right. Two of the best
teams
in the NFC are sitting right there above you in your division. Today, as it stands right now at 10:25 Monday morning West Coast time, Monday, March 9th, the 49ers are closer to the Arizona Cardinals than they are the Seahawks or the LA Rams.
By the way, I just saw Field Yates and Mel Kiper do a mock draft. They have the Arizona Cardinals taking Arvell Reese. So now the Arizona Cardinals are going to have Walter Nolan on their front and Arvell Reese. So it's not like the Cardinals are shit. The Cardinals are building something better than what you got.
Here's the thing. When everything's going wrong, there's only one position group on a team that can make it all a little bit better, and it's your offensive line. Don't like your wide receivers? Right offensive line fixes that just a little. Don't like your running backs? Right offensive line fixes that just a little. Defense getting way too burned out on the field because they can't stay off the field? Well, can't get off the field? Well, an offensive line even helps them rest a little bit more. To me, offensive line should be the only thing that the 49ers are worried about. And this morning we're talking about trading Trent Williams. It just doesn't add up, Larry. Like, if you want to talk about why the Niners didn't win this year's Super Bowl coming up, I think I already know the answer. Because they're not going to be good enough on the line of scrimmage.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna put the death knell on them on March
free agency.
March 9th, day one of free agency. No signings, no draft picks. They suck. They're going down. James Foster, sign Decker and trade Trent for a top 50 pick. You can't get a top 50 pick.
You're not getting top 50.
Can't. Now, if you can, and that was the suggestion the other day, there was a rumor. The Niners are going to trade Trent for a second-round pick. And I was like, do it! And all these people were like, you got to be kidding. And it's like, no, dude. If you don't realize that trading Trent Williams right now for a second-round pick would be a screaming deal, I can't help you. I really can't help you. Too Much Sauce says, what entity holds the most power in 2026 season? Cabo Crew, Kyle and Lynch, or York? Cabo Crew.
The Cabo Crew. Well, first of all, isn't Kyle like in the Cabo Crew?
Yeah. I mean, Jed has the ultimate power. He's the owner. Right? Jed has the ultimate power. Silent, spelt wrong, says, regardless, the situation just emphasizes how neglected they've been with the offensive line. You'd think they'd learn from being whooped in big games due to the trenches. Yeah.
This is a lesson that should have been learned when Hassan Reddick shredded Brock Purdy's elbow. They've continued to ignore it. They've continued to dismiss it. They have not prioritized it. And here they are.
It's like if you keep prioritizing your D-line over your O-line and you keep fucking up your D-line picks, then guess what? You're always going to keep needing more D-line.
Right.
You're never going to build your D-line if you can't build. That's where the Niners are at. They can't build because they can't pick enough right players in the draft to build. And then what happens is they've been doubling down and doubling down and doubling down and doubling down on their D-line forever.
Solomon
and eventually you got to be like, hey, bro, you can't pick D linemen, or you're not picking the right D lineman. But it's like the Giants in their, if you have a philosophy that you can never have enough pitching and you never draft hitting, where are your hitters ever coming from? If all you can do is draft pitching, and then you have a philosophy that says you can never have enough pitching, and you never trade any of that surplus of pitching for hitting, where do your hitters come from?
Right. What are you going to do? Win every game 1-0?
Yeah. So it's the same thing with the Niners. It's like you can sit there and say D-line over O-line, D-line over O-line, but then you keep drafting bad D linemen. Well, guess what? You keep passing up the O-line, and eventually. And it's like, well, Connor Colby did a really good job. No, he didn't. He did a really bad job. But it's like, well, he was a 7th-round pick, and he got in there for a couple of games. Yeah, because you're forced to start 7th-round picks.
Right.
And now you're adjusting what is successful based on, well, he was a 7th-round pick. He's a 7th-round pick. Whose fault is that? So, I don't know. That to me, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, to me, the thing is, like, how do you not know your own players? How do you not understand that Brandon Ayuk is just not the cat to be doing this level of business with? He's been in your locker room since the day you drafted him. How do you not know about this? How do you let Trent Williams play, high-priced poker with you yet again? Didn't he miss training camp last year because we were holding out about that? Like, get ahead of this stuff. The Niners are always behind their own headlines. Always.
It's frustrating too, because it's like you've got such a group of people now that, like, Chris Forster knows that Shanahan and Lynch want to emphasize the D-line over the O-line. He knows they don't want to draft offensive linemen. Now, he's the offensive line coach. And I bet you he's got job security for days because he's willing to just take 2nd and 3rd and 4th tier guys. But eventually it's like, dude, if you're going to be, it's like, do you have an arrangement here? It's like, you won't complain about us not drafting offensive linemen, and we won't fire you for not having a good offensive line. What is this?
When as teams load up around defensive lines all across the league, you know how you combat that? With an offensive line.
Well, not only that, you can counter awesome defensive lines with 3-step drops and getting the ball out on time. So it's like, in a way, you got to ask the question, does it make sense to keep investing so heavily in the D line when it's so easily negated by the best quarterbacks in the game? That's a question that has to be explored. But yeah, they have to do something. Whether they have Trent or not, they got to do something on the offensive line. But if you're not going to have Trent, it does make me wonder if that will make them pivot and go in a different direction altogether with their roster building. If they have to move Trent, does that make them turn into a fire sale where now
Yeah,
Bosa
but
and
you
Warner
better
and
get
some of these other
Wan'Dale
guys?
Robinson. You better get Wan'Dale Robinson because that guy is money on a slant route, and you're going to have to get that ball out lickety split. And by the way, your new slot receiver too. Maybe you're going 4 wide, 2 slots, and one of them's Christian McCaffrey because you're not going to be able to run the ball next year without Trent Williams or a significant replacement. So
they have to be able to run the ball. I mean, that's the thing. Build an offensive line. I personally, I think the offensive line could be rebuilt in this draft with day 2 and day 3 picks. I don't think you have to invest a first-round pick, but it's got to be done. You got to start. You got to learning curve.
You got a lot of learning curve, taking significant snaps all next year. Then, and if you don't think that isn't a little bit of a reset, that's again the really good offensive lineman rarely appears in his rookie year. It's year 2. It's year 3. I mean, I remember when Tristan Wirfs was what is he? What is he? Oh, well, he turned into the best. It takes a while to turn into that.
I mean, this is their philosophy of like, hey, you know what? We don't want to draft offensive linemen early because the teams that draft offensive linemen early are picking early again. Yeah, but you know what? Eventually, you got to build that fortress around Brock Purdy. Can Brock Purdy win the Super Bowl? Yeah, the same way Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl with a real good run game, a real good line, and a real good defense. If he's got a real good line, a real good run game, and a real good defense, I don't even think Brock might win. I think Brock's likely to win. But you got to get that, and they don't have that. We got this one from Kevin, who says, is it really possible for Lynch to sit back and not be aggressive this free agency and draft with 1 year left on his contract? Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his contractual situation is.
Yeah, I would just say this. John Lynch shouldn't be drafting because of his contractual obligation to the team. He should be drafting based on what the team needs, and one shouldn't really have anything to do with the other.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, if he's drafting with his own mortality in mind, that's wrong.
Right.
Space Cowboy, Trent pretty much gone. Too old to give large extension to, spread money out, but he's the only tough badass on the team. They will be choir boys. They'll be choir boys now. Yeah, I mean, they need some badass offensive linemen. There's no question about it. They need to replace him, and they probably needed to do it years ago, and they didn't do it. And now here they are.
It's like everything that I've been talking about. And Damon, you're a one-note wonder, and all you did was talk about Armand Membu and Monroe Freeling. And what do I know? What do I know? Well, I'm just a guy on YouTube, but I think I know enough that offensive line is just not an option. You can't play fast and reckless with Moneyball on your offensive line in the modern NFL. Did it work when, Joe Montana and company were ahead of the entire offensive curve of the league? Yeah, that's a 30-year ago philosophy.
Well, I mean, the Niners were in the Super Bowl with this shitty offensive line.
And lost it.
Yeah, but I mean, they were in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's kind of bottom line. Fuji says, did Ravens give up too much capital for Crosby? They gave up 2 number ones. I don't understand what the Ravens are doing completely.
Put it this way, the Ravens have never traded a single first-round pick for a player ever. So to give up 2 for Crosby, they've clearly identified him as the one thing we need the most. So
they're trying to get back too fast, I think.
I will say this about Max Crosby. He is a one-man wrecking crew. He really is. And you put him next to Matabuke, and man,
he's good. There's no question. It's just a matter of
he leads the NFL in tackles for loss.
I think it's about Lamar.
Been drafted.
It's about Lamar. It's about, hey, they feel like Lamar's got a couple good years left in him, and they're going to try to maximize that. Fuji says, with Kittle out, does Juice come back on a 1-year deal? I don't know. I don't think it matters really. I mean, Juice is a decent player, but he's nothing. I mean, come on.
Right. You want to talk about haven't won a Super Bowl with you? That guy's to me on the top of that list.
Steve in the house says, will Greenlaw and Jennings be remembered as Niners legends, Warriors, as opposed to Chase Young and Devondre Campbell? Oh God, yes.
They're not even in the conversation.
Chase Young and
Devondre Campbell will be forgotten to history, except for Larry and I will bring it up whenever we get pissed off and want to yell at the team.
I mean, come on. Devondre Campbell, just a dog with fleas. Chase Young actually had some game, but he Cadillac it in the biggest game.
That's what made it so disappointing. He was way too good to play like that.
Yeah. I mean, Chase Young, shame on you. Devondre Campbell is just a fool. And he showed what he was. We have this one from Fuji. He says, you going to Australia or Mexico City still in play?
We're not ready to talk travel plans today. It's day one of free agency. I'd like to go to both. I like traveling. I'd like to go to both. There's no amount of it's scary in Mexico City right now. That the only place I don't think I want to go is Iran right now. That's about it.
There's a few places I wouldn't want to go. I'm not dying to get to Yemen anytime soon. We've got as far as that goes, we're not really sure. Not really sure about if we're going or not. Wait a second. Did we skip that? Yeah, I skipped one here. We got this one from Fuji. Small market teams want the 49ers to open up some access to Mexico and the UK market rights, but won't allow the 49ers to have access to Germany in exchange. Thoughts?
Look, Fuji, I think there's a day to talk travel plans and international games. Not really today. I love, I love how much you're generous with the supers, but today's not a day to change the subject and take us off what we're talking about to talk about something else. I mean, this is free agent day one. That's what we're here to talk about today. But yeah.
I mean, every team in the NFL was given or signed up for the rights to certain international markets. The Niners have London and Mexico City. Some other teams, I think the Vikings, Chiefs, I think were given Dusseldorf or whatever. So that's the way that
Dusseldorf.
Yeah, that's how that came.
Let me tell you, when you can get Dusseldorf in the room, you do it.
Ernberg says everyone but Brock should be up for trade. Yeah, I mean, personally, I have no problem. I mean, let's be totally real here. What did we see this year? Did we see a team that was on the verge of beating the Seahawks and the Rams, or did we see a team that was getting further away from the Seahawks and Rams? I think we saw it in season. The Niners were more competitive with Seattle early in the year, and because they had a full complement of veterans, and Seattle had a second-year head coach and a first-year quarterback. But once Seattle got their shit going and the Niners suffered a couple injuries, by the end of the year, it was very one-sided in the other direction. So the 49ers are not on the verge of running down the Rams or Seahawks. So, yes, I believe everyone but Brock and maybe a couple others, Upton, Stout, and a few others, should be on the trade block. I know that's hard for the jersey buying public to hear because it's like, oh, man, I'm invested in this. I'm invested in this guy. I'm invested in that guy. Don't be. Don't be so invested in football players. When you want to invest in something, invest in the team.
You're chasing the Seahawks, period, end of story. The Seahawks won 13-3 for the battle of the 1 seed. You couldn't manage more than a field goal against that team. And then the divisional, they just came back and stomped out your teeth 41-6. So when you can't even find the end zone against your division rival, and you have the coach and you have the quarterback and genius cards are in everybody's back pocket, and you are settling for field goals in your biggest game of the year, you way behind.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's be real, okay? Let's keep it real. And if we're keeping it real, the Niners are not one of the better teams right now. They need to take a step back. They need to have a reshuffling. They need to have an injection of youth. Whether they have the people to pick those players or not is debatable, but they need help. They need talent. And
I think the Niners,
they don't need one player. That's the other thing. I
think the Niners are always going to be able to pick on the NFL's middle class and the poverty stricken. But when it comes to the Beverly Hills of the NFL, the 49ers look a little suspicious as they're driving around the neighborhood. They really don't belong there. They're not a top shelf team right now. They're not a bottom shelf team. They're not in the well. They're not the Jets. They're not the Browns. They're not the Raiders. They're not an embarrassment. But they're also nowhere near the creme de la creme. And it felt like, they were in the Final Four this year, so that's near the creme de la creme.
Well, it just feels like the people who cover this team, there's a lot of fanboy coverage, especially on Twitter. you've got these people that, Lynch comes out and says they need to get young. We need to get younger and faster and leaner and meaner. And they're like, Joey Bosa. I mean, it's like, are you a fucking moron? How does Joey Bosa make you younger, faster, or cheaper? He doesn't.
Here's the thing: at the right
stop
price.
being a rah fan,
but here
and then look at this thing a little bit more objectively and have a little bit more knowledge to what you're putting out there in the public. You can't just sit there and trade everything for Max Crosby, and then these idiots were like, trade a first and a third for Max Crosby. He was never going for a first and a third. You're just making yourself look like a fucking idiot. So the rah crowd, heck, there's a guy the other day. I mean, this happens all the time now. The Niners, there was a rumor yesterday that the Niners may have interest in Montaric Brown. Immediately, there was some nobody on Twitter who's a big Niner fan who's like, they need to get Montaric Brown. Dude, you didn't even know that there was even such a thing as Montaric Brown until like 5 minutes before you tweeted that.
Right.
So it's like, come on, dude. I mean, I get it. You're a big Niner fan. Anybody that the Niners are rumored to be interested in, you're all about. I get it. But come on. Have some base to what you're saying. Have some basis to what you're putting out there. And just sitting there being like, Max Crosby's available. Get Max Crosby. It's like, Max Crosby? They're going to get a 30-year-old defensive end. They have like 12 other needs, and that's going to be the answer. So it's like, I never understood.
Give you a little update here. Did we just get that deleted? Another loss for the Seahawks, but then Jordan Schultz deleted that, so he might have jumped. Texans
have signed Sheldon Rankins back. So that was one of the better pass rushing tackles in free agency, and he goes back to Houston. So Sheldon Rankins is staying there in Houston.
Another stripping of Seattle and their secondary. The Chicago Bears are signing safety Kobe Bryant.
Wow.
From the Seattle Seahawks.
That's a big one. That is a big one. Kobe Bryant is a really, really good football player. Ben Diesel, Ben _Diesel should have traded Trent to Green Bay for Rashawn Gary, Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs a free agent and or a pick. Draft a left tackle in the draft. Too late, though. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have made that trade. Those are not trades that you could make. We have this one from Space Cowboy. What does it say? Happy belated birthday, Kev. Oh, yeah, 2027 will be the year he takes over the Krug show.
Oh, Larry, you got 12 months left? That's it?
Yes, happy birthday to Kev. He's turned 24. 24.
When? Today?
Yesterday. No, Saturday.
Happy birthday, Kev.
He's a March 7th baby. March 7th. I was there when he came out. It was an amazing moment. Because we didn't find out. Actually, we did find out. We were so poor at this point in our life that we decided to give our baby, sex reveal to ourselves as a Christmas present. So Kev was due in March, and on Christmas morning, we put it in an envelope, and on Christmas morning we opened it up, and I found out I was having my first son, and it was an amazing moment, and he's been equally amazing.
I got to tell you, so I want to thank Joe Fortenbaugh because he really talked me into it. Because Jillian and I, when we were having our first child, we were like, do we want to know? We kind of want to know, but we maybe don't. I don't know. What do we do? And Fortenbaugh leaned over into this conversation and he told me, he's like, this is the last guaranteed to be great surprise of your life. No matter what comes out, whether it be a boy or a girl, it will be the best surprise of your life. Leave yourself the room for the greatest surprise of your life. And we did. We did not know that Jack was going to be a Jack until he came out. By the time we got to Ozzy, we're like, yeah, we want to know. So we found out the sex of Ozzy before he was born. But that very first kid, we wanted to know. We wanted the surprise. And
I believe strongly in the surprise. Why? Yeah. Because you shouldn't kid yourself into believing that you control much. And there's the people that want to know everything ahead of time are usually control freaks. We need to plan the nursery. No, you don't. We need to decide what color we're going to paint it. No, you don't. You can do all that later.
The only thing you really need is that diaper changing station. I mean, the minute that kid is home, you're going to need that. That's the one thing you set up, but you don't need to do it in a blue room or a pink room, but you have to have the station ready to go.
You don't need to know. You don't need to know. And you can be surprised. And it's an amazing, I've done it every way. You know, the first time I was surprised. The second time we told ourselves, and we gave it to ourselves for Christmas. And then after that, we decided we're just going to be surprised. We have 4. So there you go. G-Dub Money. Peace, Trent. Rebuild that O-line. Okay. We have this one from, God, I can't even read that. What does that say?
I'm sorry. By the way, as we all expected, Larry, we got Tyler Linderbaum. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Raiders are closing in on a deal for Ravens Pro Bowl center Tyler Linderbaum.
That's the talk. The talk was
$81 million. If that doesn't deserve a gong, nothing does. And let me tell you,
there were people that were suggesting that was going to happen, and that the Niners ought to call the Raiders about Jackson Powers Johnson and trying to trade for.
You don't want Jackson Powers Johnson. He's a concussion. He's a problem. He's not a player, man. He won't be in the NFL 2 years from now, from what all indications coming out of Vegas were. But that is a big. Look at it this way: someone who will be rooting for Fernando Mendoza to make it. Fernando Mendoza played behind a very good center and won a Heisman Trophy. Putting a rookie quarterback behind arguably the best center in football, that's a really good. That's John Spytek is going to be the difference in the Raiders being a laughing stock or a good football team. That's a good move if that's official.
Google says Dobbs is an ideal fit. Good blocker, reliable hands, good route runner, good speed, durable, good value. The only downside is the bobblehead. He's talking about the fact that he wears the whatever.
I mean, to me, if you weren't going to be in the Trent Williams business, you should have been in the Tyler Linderbaum business. You should have.
They were never in that. I mean, I know, they were never going to be in that. They like Brendel. They're not going to pay their center 5 times. I mean, Linderbaum's going to make like 5 times what they're paying Brendel. Is he 5 times better than Brendel? No. We get this one from Fuji. With the Dolphins situation, or valuation news, do you think Jed would ever consider selling the team? Why no? Why can't teams in NFL lifetime health care be given to all players? Well, who knows about that last one? Jed's not selling the team, and there's no way he's going to sell the team. That thing's too much of a moneymaker. I would say Jed and the York family will not sell the team. Though when the Lakers got $50 billion or whatever for their team, I think that was like the dream of a lot of the biggest team owners. Is like, oh, that Laker deal. So they're all dreaming that $50 billion dream. I don't think the Niners are going to be sold. I don't. I think they're going to remain in the family.
It's the family business. The York DeBartolo family. There's no future in the mall business. I know that they're still in the construction business. There is nothing but current overwhelming windfall success and nothing but guaranteed it'll be worth more tomorrow than it is today. That owning an NFL team is better than holding any stock in America. There is no threat, zero, that it will drop in value. It only goes up. Any stock could go down based on something happening. There is. I mean,
it would take a World War III situation to.
Oh yeah. So if the world ended, nothing would be valuable. I would agree with you there. But
outside, not just that. If they were ever anything that made people worried about, a foreign invader they wouldn't be so fired up about going to Raiders Chiefs on Sunday if they thought they were going to have to defend their home from a foreign invader. So, I mean, there are things that could impact sports. We saw it with the pandemic. Heck, we saw it with the pandemic. That was a major thing.
Beyond Red Dawn. By the way, the value of every single NFL team went up during COVID, not down. So I don't agree with that.
Yeah, but their expenditures also went up. And heck, Jed York put the Niners, the Niners are a 200-person traveling team. They stayed in Arizona for 2 months. I mean, that had to cost millions and millions of dollars.
These are drops in buckets for billionaires.
Ben_Diesel. To clarify my previous super chat, one player and a pick for Trent. We'll see.
Well, here's the thing. Now, the incentive to throw in that player is gone now. Gone.
No, it's still there because only one team gets Trent Williams. Whoever wants Trent Williams is going to pony up, whether that's Kansas City or Houston or whatever. I mean, that's the beauty of the left tackle situation. That's why the Niners are in such a pickle without him, is because there aren't any options. So I do think they are going to get something for him, I do believe. They will not just release him.
Larry, we got to lean back in one more time and ask everyone watching to please like and subscribe to the Krug Show and Damon Bruce Plus. Over 3,000 people in the room across all platforms right now. We thank you all for being here today very, very much. It feels like it's football season again. Let's see if the Niners do something.
We got this one from Chewy, who says, "Go Krug and Damon." Boo. Trash
Barty. Is this a shot at Dave Lombardi? And you don't need to take any shot. You want to take a shot at Dave? Go take your shot at Dave. Don't do it on our channel.
Boo Trash Barty. I don't know. I have no idea what that is about.
It's a slam on Dave Lombardi, is what that is.
All right. Fuji. Best wishes to Laura Britt. What happened to Laura Britt? She's left NBC.
Leaving Giants broadcast. Her and her husband are moving back to where I think they're both from, Atlanta. So
there's no money. Here's the thing. There's people who are from here stay here. People that aren't from here make a go of it here, and when they can no longer afford it, they sell out and they go somewhere else. And why would you live here if you? I mean, NBC Sports Bay Area is hemorrhaging money. Anybody who's working for NBC Sports Bay Area is not in a good situation going forward.
Well, and they just signed the NBC Sports Bay Area just signed Kaylin Mills. She'll be the new Laura Britt.
Kylan Mills, yeah.
Kylan Mills.
Yeah, Kylan Mills is a great
She's
girl.
Yeah.
I've talked to her before. I've met her. You've had her on my channel. She used to come on quite a bit. She is or was married to Charlie from who did TV. He was like a backup on 5, I think. But, once again, these are tough jobs. It's tough to come here and establish yourself. McFadden says, KC got rid of Derek Johnson, Tom Bahali, Justin Houston, Eric Berry, A. Smith, and Jamal Charles before winning 3 Super Bowls. I agree with Larry. Get picks. That was all pre-Mahomes, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Mahomes was the key guy there. KC Niner, or was that? I can't remember that. K_Niner. Is it safe to say the team needs a full-on rebuild? Well, I don't know if they need a full-on rebuild because they just had a pretty good rookie class, but they have all of their best players. Well, the Cardinals signed Tyler Algier, 2-year, $12.2 million. That was another back that a lot of people had, maybe coming to the 49ers. Tyler Algier, he instead goes to Arizona.
Again, the Atlanta tie-in. I mean, I know that's the other side of the ball, but still, you figured that Raheem Morris would be endorsing or not endorsing former Falcons, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's, he's a defensive coach. He may, and who knows, maybe the Niners are not big fans of Algier. A lot of people thought they would be. We have this one from Ernest. He said, Chiefs in pursuit of Trent Williams, send him to Kansas City for Josh Simmons. They're not trading Josh Simmons. Even if you have to, eat some salary, younger. Yeah, no, they're not giving you they're not giving you Josh Simmons. I would be shocked if they gave you Josh Simmons if you can get Josh Simmons for Trent Williams, do it. Yeah, absolutely do it. I don't see it happening. Fuji says, I hope Reardon beats SI in baseball this year. Well, hope is not a plan. James Foster, 49ers have $10 million in cap space in 2027 and 36 players under contract. That number will change, but that means we need to roll over cap space from 2026. Okay. We got this one. Draft Alan Heitcher or the talking about the Arizona State right tackle and move McKivitz to left tackle. Yeah, they may have to do that.
I thought that
I like that kid a lot.
Well, I just think that McKivitz just officially got comfortable at right tackle. Like he was a pretty good right tackle this year.
Yeah, he
now
was.
You want to left tackle? Good. You know, what are you going to put Austin Pleasance now as your right tackle?
Maybe Austin Pleasance will be the starting left tackle. Who knows?
Good night, Irene. Good night.
Simeon says, sorry, Larry and Damon. I thought super chats were at the end of the show, hence the
random NFL. Yeah, look, Fuji, we love you. We love you. We love you.
NFL topics.
Yeah.
I promise no WNBA questions.
Thank you.
Please, no WNBA.
Valkyries.
Propa feels like John Lynch won't make big moves anymore because he's scared by his own prior swings and misses. We need new leadership. Okay. We got this one from Fuji. The biggest question, which Kruger child will inherit the Krug show, the real life Game of Thrones? Ha. Your thoughts on the extravagant gender reveals? I mean, people sometimes screw that up so bad that they're like, it was going to be a balloon that popped, but then somebody let it go and it just floats away. I mean, I think, it's great to make it a big deal because it is a big deal.
Here's the thing.
Here's what I would say is these things that kind of suggest like you have all the control, you don't have all the control. You don't have the control of the sex of the baby. You don't have control of the health of the baby. You don't have control. So this idea that you control everything and these brides and these moms that get overly controlling with, we're going to do it this way. It's like, it's the wrong message because you're not going to be in control. And these things that happen to you in life are going to be unforeseen. So it's like, you're setting yourself up for a huge disappointment if you think that you're in control of everything.
Again, I'm very happy that I'm married to a woman who is old enough to not try to be trending on Instagram. My wife is not thirsty for social media interaction, and I love that she comes from that generation. I do too. But, so look at it this way. There are a lot of women who use pregnancy to get their attention, and the gender reveals just for attention. And people in LA have burnt down forests with gender reveals. Just make sure it doesn't.
People act kind of funny. People act funny. I mean, heck, the other day I wished my son Ben happy birthday on Twitter, and somebody chastised me over it. This seems like something you could have done in private. It's like, hey, fuck you, right. Fuck right off. If I want to be proud of my son on social media, I'm going to be proud of my son on social media, and you can fuck yourself.
Right. I took a picture of Jack at quarterback and put it up on social media, just saying QB1. There he is. I'm proud. I'm proud of my son having a great time playing flag football.
You should. We have this one.
Oh, I got to tell you, Larry, Jack is playing flag football, and I'm telling him how to, hut. I'm trying to get him to really. The kid that was playing for the other team was straight up there going, Black 49 Razor. I mean, it's flag football. He's just taking the thing off of but he's ready, say, I mean, this kid was trying to make a fictitious defensive line jump off sides with his cadence. It was phenomenal. It was gorgeous. I love the kid.
Danny said, did Trent Baalke write the gender in the envelope? I told myself I was going to be a girl, and I said to my wife, we got this one. What is it? Matt says, Larry, do you think that the substation is affecting the 49er free agency? All the teams are in the West are getting better, but the Niners. Well, I knew it was going to be a topic. I mean, come on, I knew it was going to be a topic.
And remember, Jed vowed that it would be put to bed before the start of free agency because it would be the best thing to do. I haven't seen a follow-up on that vow at all. There is no debunked science put forward anything here. They haven't built a Chernobyl sarcophagus around it or anything. They said we might have a problem here and then really didn't do much to fix that problem. We'll also say that free agency has been underway for approximately 3 hours, but
Saints are signing Travis Etienne. He's going home.
How about that?
Close to home.
What we do know is that the Niners are never aggressive on day one of free agency. They're just not.
No, that's not true. They signed Javon Hargrave for the $20 million deal.
So we're talking 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago, Larry.
Well, it's more recent than never. We got this one. If we trade Trent, sign Dobbs or Pierce, draft a left tackle. Pierce is gone. Yep, we've seen that. We've got this one. Larry, do you think that? Okay, we got that.
We got those. We are through all of the supers that have come in already, except for this one right here.
Okay, what an embarrassment of a team. Everyone is making moves. We were re-signing kickers. We're close to becoming a laughing stock in the league. Shit show.
Look,
just gotta relax.
I will say it right now. No matter what the Niners are next year, they're going to be a 9-win football team. They never bottom out. They never get embarrassing unless there's a hard to shake a stick at level of injury. And even in a level of injury season that they just came out of, they did pretty damn well. But they have behaviors that are locked in that I don't know if it's best for business to, like you said, never say never, Larry. I'll agree with you. Yeah, they did when they signed. They made a terrible Javon Hargrave signing a few years ago in free agency. But they haven't done much before that in this regime or since that. It might have been the year to get a little aggressive for someone. Or it might have been the year to get a little aggressive to renegotiate that deal, like, say, last year with Trent Williams, to make sure that you weren't in this situation that you're now all of a sudden in today. The Niners spend way too much time reacting to problems that develop rather than putting out fires before they even start. And I don't think that's an unfair criticism.
I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, I knew there were gonna be a lot of people that were going to be pissed off as soon as we got to free agency. I said it the other day to you. I said, you know what? If the Niners don't have a huge breaking story in the beginning, day one or day two of free agency, it's going to be the substation all over again. Oh, it's the substation. So
again, I think you got to get aggressive when you got a player who could come in and help and do something that is, that like you're going to need him this year. He's going to help you this year. You're going to get better with him this year. One of those I thought was Wan'Dale Robinson. He has an agreement with the Tennessee Titans.
Titans signed Wan'Dale Robinson. So there was talk that the Titans would sign Romeo Dobbs. So maybe they're going with Wan'Dale.
78 million, 4 years, 78 million, 38 million guaranteed.
Whew. That's a lot. It's a lot of money.
That's the price of business, man. That is what is it? Hold on, let me get the math.
Receivers, the receiver market, with the receiver market being what it is, 28 million is the salary cap, or that's the franchise tag for receivers. So I mean,
that's an under $20 million number. That's 19.5 million dollars doesn't even get you a wide receiver one anymore. It gets you a Honda Civic.
Yeah, wide receiver one. I mean, $19 million for that. Oof, I wouldn't have paid that. I wouldn't have paid $19 million for Wan'Dale. I wouldn't pay that kind of money. I mean, why would you pay that kind of money when you can go draft receivers?
Yeah, why would you pay that kind of money when you can go draft a wide receiver and not play that guy? I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to play the guys you draft. You're not going to pay the guys you're passing on. And you got Ricky Pearsall, who's always hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the Ricky Pearsall thing, it's like, that's the other thing that cracks me up. People are just so like, look, don't trade Ricky this year. Trade Ricky if he sucks next year. Well, dude, if he sucks next year, he's not worth anything. He's absolutely not worth anything. We have this somebody just dropped this little nugget in the chat. That happened?
I'm looking. You figured you wouldn't say, yeah, that's happening without seeing it from somebody who is significant. I'm looking at it's basically today is just a battle between Rappaport and Adam Schefter.
49er news. Oh, do you have the gong, Damon?
You can get your gong, Larry.
I need a gong. I like how it lingers. 49er and NFL News 24/7, which I don't know if it's a good source or not, but they are reporting that the 49ers have reached out to Bears free agent corner Nahshon Wright. Now, Nahshon Wright played for John Beam at Laney College. He's a Bay Area guy. He had a great year with Chicago.
Very good year.
Yeah. Didn't he have like 5 or 6 picks? By the way, Tim Kawakami is tweeting out, reminder, the 49ers did this to themselves 2 years ago by loading up Trent Williams 2026 cap hit, and then by not having any foreseeable replacement option at left tackle.
Hey, it's like Tim Kawakami's listening to every word that's come out of my mouth on the topic. It's exactly what I've been saying.
Well, and we talked about this. This is the problem when you prioritize the D line over the O line, and then you miss on the D line. You just keep drafting D linemen. You never get if you're always going to say the D line's more important than the O line, and you keep drafting the wrong guys on the D line. When do you ever get to the O line? But here's the question I would have. There's lots of reports that teams are calling the Niners now about Fred Warner. It sounds like Trent Williams. Are we seeing the end? Are we seeing the end of the 49ers' current run? Should they pivot? Should they pivot, Damon, to trading them all? Should they pivot to trade Trent, trade Bosa, trade Fred? Should they, I mean, if they're getting calls on Trent and they're talking about Jalen Carter, which, God, to me, that has to include Bosa. I can't imagine that they could get Jalen Carter without trading Bosa. But maybe, do you think we're seeing them basically turning over their team? I mean, are we going to see that?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So are we ready to say rebuild? I mean, because you said you didn't want to say it because you got the coach and you got the quarterback, so you don't want to say the word rebuild out loud. But there are things here that
what I'm saying is the window for winning a championship is tied to the quarterback and the head coach. I think, and that to me is what opens your window. If you don't have a quarterback, your window's not open. If you don't have a head coach, I don't think your window's open. I think their window's open because of the coach and the quarterback, but their best players are all older. And I've been talking about moving these players for picks and rebuilding, and Niner fans are like, no.
By the way, so
why trade Ricky? Why trade Renardo? Why trade these guys? Well,
if the price of Wan'Dale Robinson was too much, you're going to have to look a little bit further down the board for an experienced wide receiver. I was going to say maybe Calvin Austin, maybe Tutu Atwell, maybe Jahan Dotson. Well, former Eagles wide receiver Jahan Dotson just reached an agreement today with the Falcons. It is a 2-year, $15 million deal worth up to 17 with $10 million fully guaranteed. Now, I'm no big Jahan Dotson guy, but if that guy is playing at 2 years, $15 million, that is a price point the Niners could have explored and absolutely absorbed and not had it done damage to the rest of their ability to build around. But no, they didn't do that.
Well, we don't, the question is, are they not making offers, or is nobody want to play for them?
Well, if the second part of your question there is a reality, then they got problems that go way beyond the scope of any one YouTube show that you and I are doing. If they are the team that no one wants to choose in free agency because of California, whatever, San Francisco, whatever, Levi Stadium, substation, whatever. If you got all these whatevers around that, hey, even though you got a window open because you got a quarterback and a coach, but nobody wants to come and play for you, you got to draft it all, and then you're not really good at drafting, that spells fucked.
Easton Butler says the 49ers have been receiving calls about linebacker Fred Warner and the Giants being one of the calls per a source. And then 49er Web Zone retweeted that and said last week a Giants reporter noted that the 49ers might consider trading Fred Warner. There was a report that came out 72 hours ago that said that if the Niners were able to re-sign Dre Greenlaw, that may impact their decision of whether or not to trade Fred Warner. But I mean, when you're hearing Jalen Carter, you're hearing Trent Williams trade rumors, you're hearing Fred Warner trade rumors. Wow. This could wind up being the
that
beginning.
means the philosophy is changing inside that locker room, inside that front office.
Yeah. Matt Mayoko tweeted out that Kendrick Bourne on the NFL Network has emphasized that he has a great relationship with Cardinals coach Mike LaFleur. Bourne said stresses that he fits a lot of systems. He's slow and is a has-been. I don't care if he goes to Arizona. He can go to Arizona right now for all I fucking care. Who cares?
I'm sorry. Who are you talking about? I'm reading.
Bourne. Kendrick Bourne sucks.
Yeah, no,
I don't want Kendrick Bourne back at all.
By
I'd rather
the way,
re-sign Debo.
Let me ask you this, Larry. Would you be interested in Jalen Naylor?
No. He doesn't.
Okay.
The money is going to be too high. He doesn't catch the ball enough. They need volume. They need like Mike Evans. They need Romeo Doubs. They need somebody who can catch 70, 80, 90 balls. That's why Wandale was so attractive.
The Raiders have agreed to terms with wide receiver Jalen Naylor. It's a 3-year, $35 million deal, including a $23 million guarantee. That is a big guarantee. But again,
that's
3 years, $35 million. That is
that's too much.
Halfway decent. Any wide receiver who's halfway decent is making $10 million a year, Larry. That's just it. You got to get used to. It's like me when I moved to San Francisco. I could not believe how much rent was. I couldn't believe how much it cost to buy a house in this city. And then you just realize this is the price of doing business here. The price of doing business in the NFL. If you can play halfway decent at any position, you're making $10 million. If you are regarded as among the best at your position, you are making bare minimum. The floor is $19-20 million a year for anybody who's flirting with Pro Bowl consideration in their career now. And really good players, that is now a $25 million a year conversation. It's just, that's the league. You got Alec Pierce making nearly $30 million a year. I mean, it's crazy. But
it really is.
But this is it. This is where you are. This is where the league is. This is why the cap has to go up $25 million every single year, because these players are raking it in. And we're not begrudging a player for raking it in. We're not. We're pro these players making as much money as humanly possible. But you are not going to be able to fit these guys onto your roster. And here's the thing. Not only are the 49ers not fitting the high-priced players on their roster, they're not fitting the medium-priced players on their roster either, which means leftovers, the crumbs of free agency is probably what they will, be. By the way, I'm going to go back to next year. You know what you should do, right? Sign Keenan Allen. Well, we want to get younger. I don't give a fuck what you want to do. You need wide receivers who can play, catch football, score touchdowns. Go sign Keenan Allen. I died on that hill last year. Keenan Allen, had he been on the 49ers, would have been their most productive wide receiver.
We got this one. Will we see Sebastian Valdez next year?
No, they'll invent reasons to not play him, even though he looks good whenever he plays. He'll have a great preseason, and he'll get practice squatted.
Would we love to see guys like Dowdle, Tremaine Edmonds, Kwity Paye, Dobbs pursued? Could be great fits. Think they will have interest. Dobbs, yes. Kwity Paye's had some injury problems. Tremaine Edmonds, probably not. Linebackers, it seems like pretty rare that
it better be freaking Mike Evans or Romeo Dobbs. It better be. Because
Well,
I
I
just
don't.
don't trust this team. This team literally drafts KC Concepcion with a number 1 overall pick, and then Kyle figure out a way he doesn't want to play him until like week 8.
Yeah, I mean, personally, it's like I just look at this 49er team and I think they need to back up the truck, sell off a lot of these pieces, and go build.
To me, though, that sale should have started a week ago.
We got this one
Today's the wrong day to have a yard sale because everybody's having a yard sale today. You should have had your exclusive yard sale a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
This one, the 49ers have agreed, or the Jets have agreed to terms with veteran defensive tackle David Onyemata, 1-year deal for $10.5 million with $9.65 million guaranteed. That's almost the whole thing guaranteed. That's an interesting name. Why? Because this guy played for Raheem Morris last year in Atlanta, and he would have been a good fit next to Alfred Collins and CJ West. Now, he's not a fit at all if you're really talking about, Jalen Carter. But that's another interesting name off the market there. David Onyemata, no longer here. I do begrudge players making this money because it makes games insanely expensive to attend. That being said, we need to stop bargain shopping. Or we need to stop bargain shopping. Dobie, it's personally, the 49ers, I don't want to see them have no half measures. So it's like if you really do, if they can't sign the players they need to sign, then maybe it is time to sell off some of these guys. Maybe it is time to sell off some of the players that you have that other teams want, right? To me, that seems real basic. I don't know what are their options? What are their other options? It's like they don't really. If you can't get players to sign with you, then to me it would make sense to sell off some of these other players.
How interested are you in Tutu Atwell? Because he's about to be the best wide receiver on the free agent market.
No,
the minute that Dobbs and Mike Evans are off the board, Tutu Atwell doesn't sound so bad. Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I don't think Tutu Atwell's the answer.
You want Darnell Mooney?
I don't think he's the answer. Vikings potentially are the favorites to sign Kyler Murray, according to the reports I'm seeing crumbing across the screen. And the Vikings have signed linebacker Eric Wilson, 3 years, $22.5 million. So stories are breaking. Vikings and James Pierre agreed to terms on a 2-year deal for $8.5 million with $3.7 guaranteed. Of course, the Niners that was one of the early rumors of the day.
There you go. So James Pierre of the Steelers is a bridge too far for the Niners.
Well, I mean, they didn't get him. They didn't land him. We have this one. It's funny. I can't ever get over the fact that people that use their Twitter to lecture people, and it's like, dude, seriously, Dave, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Reminder, the 49ers won't and shouldn't make moves just to appease fan and media neuroticism. Value builds good rosters, not indiscriminate action just for the sake of making outsiders feel they're, quote, doing something.
Look, your team needs to get better.
Oh,
there's a mechanism to do that today. It's called free agency. This is what do you want? I don't think it's ridiculous to say that a team that didn't have much of a pass rush could certainly get better along the offensive line, doesn't have a wide receiver that can separate or stay healthy in the same year. It is not a completely abstract, a novice request to say, maybe you should get in on free agency just a little.
We have this one who says, I say Debo to LA with McDaniels. F you, Larry. We got this one who says, I'm 2 hours late So can I get a recap? Can I get a Niners recap?
Jason, thank you for being here. No problem being 2 hours late. We won't hold that against you at all. Here's what the Niners have done. Nothing other than lean into the fact that getting Trent Williams back into the building could be too much of a hurdle for them to overcome. So they have put him on the block, according to some internet outlets. Other internet outlets haven't officially said he's on the block, but we'll see if the biggest move of free agency the Niners might experience today is Trent Williams is not on the team unless they do.
Supposedly the Niners are shopping Trent Williams and they're getting calls on Fred Warner. And there was talk of them being interested in the Eagles defensive tackle the other day.
Hey, go get Ethan Pocic to play center. Go get David Njoku because you need another tight end. Go get Isaac Sayamalo from the Steelers. Make your offensive line better because it doesn't look like you're getting better anywhere else.
Coach Yak says the 49ers, Cardinals, and Dolphins are among the teams in the mix for Kendrick Bourne. God, who cares? Kendrick Bourne sucks. Kendrick Bourne is who you're going to sign Kendrick Bourne? Why? To what end? I mean, seriously, what's Kendrick Bourne doing for the Niners?
Kendrick Bourne came in and had one game, and then he vanished.
He had a couple games,
he helped you beat the Rams big time. Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne had a little something going, and then the minute it wasn't Mac, we hardly saw Kendrick and Brock at all. You're reading, Larry. What are you reading?
Coach Yak is Coach Yak is just a retweeting idiot. And he says, that's the same handle that said the 49ers were in on Jalen Carter. I told you yesterday he was full of shit, and that's why I didn't post that original BS. Oh, yeah, you know all. That guy knows nothing. All right, we got this one. Center salary, Linderbaum, $27 million per year. Brendel, $4.1 million per year. Yeah.
By the way, I think we talked about maybe a couple weeks ago, David Edwards from the Bills helping solve the 49ers interior line problems. There's a guard. You need a guard. Well, 4 years, $61 million deal with the Saints. So another possible offensive lineman that could have helped off the board.
Dieter is weighing in. He says, even more predictable than the Niners sitting out the first wave of free agency, although there were 2 or 3 viable logs in the fire, so I maintain the right to delete this tweet, is the fan backlash on here, on this here hell site. Y'all are following me and Hutch Diesel's script exactly. Oh, yeah. Well, anybody, we all been saying that. We all said that for weeks, that, the Niner fans were going to lose their mind if the Niners, I said they were going to lose their mind and go start talking about the substation. If the Niners didn't sign anybody in the first day or two of free agency.
Well, I mean, but the Niners didn't go after anybody on the first day of free agency in the last few years before anyone had said the word substation out loud. They are who they are.
But you knew there was going to be a lot of people.
I think their business practices and their drafting are putting them behind the competition, not ahead of it. By holding every single guy out to the, every single contract negotiation with the 49ers is pulling teeth. It's never gone smoothly. It's never like, oh, hey, everyone knew that deal had to get done. And way ahead of deadline, it got done. They play everything out to the deadline. And then on day of go, they don't get off the starting line. And that's what the Niners do season after season after season. And I guess what is past is prologue. If you want to know what, again, Larry, you are not off your rocker when you say, well, if you just want to know what the Niners are going to do in this upcoming NFL draft, look at what they've done. Yeah, they're probably going to go D-line again. But maybe
their stated goal is that they need to improve their D-line.
Right.
Well, so there you
and go sign Jonathan Franklin Myers and do it before another team does it.
Yeah, we'll see. Nothing. Did Lynch forget free agency starts today? Okay. We have this one, 49er fan, 49er season club ticket holders should be pissed. watching a geriatric team who's last in free agency. Who's
left in free agency, I think.
Oh, who's left? I mean, it's day one. It's day one. So there's lots of players that are left. But yes, very, discouraging.
Right. Premium players, the guys that you got excited about, anyone that you might have bought a jersey because you were so excited he signed with the team, is probably not happening.
Yeah. What can you say? I mean, we'll see what they do. All right, we probably should get off. We've been going for 2.5 hours here.
Now we're just shaking our fists and being angry. I will say, though, we have 3,500 people across all of our platforms watching us right now. So the biggest audience of the day is right here, right now. And I wish we had better news for you. I wish we had something that suggests the 49ers are being aggressive on day one here of free agency. But we got squat. We got squadoosh. We got nothing for you.
Well, it's not that there's nothing going on. It sounds like the 49ers have interest in Romeo Doubs. It sounds like they may have interest in Mike Evans.
Right, we knew that 6 weeks ago. Like, that's not a new one. We of course, the Niners have been, they have interest in, but they never signed. The Giants had interest in Bryce Harper. Didn't happen. I'm tired of hearing about who they're interested in. Do something. Do something.
According to Rich Cimini, Jaguars receiver Brian Thomas could be in play for the Jets. I'd love to see.
The Jets suck out loud, and they obviously have a lot of money to spend today, but they're going out and doing it. The Jets aren't saying like, "Well, we're the Jets. We're not gonna." I would if I'm the 49ers, I'm calling the Jets and begging them to trade for Mac Jones. I guess at this point.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. Couple thoughts before we get out of here. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to our good friends at Alomar Marina. That's right, voted the best lunch spot in Sacramento. You can float on the Sacramento River while eating at Alomar Marina. It's an awesome spot. Check out their website, alomarmarina.net. They're at 5999 Garden Highway. Thanks to Alomar Marina for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Also, thanks to Novato Chevrolet. Go talk to my man, David Corral. He's the man to go see. He'll get you a screaming deal. Once again, the only Chevrolet dealership I go to is Novato Chevrolet. The owner is Gus. He's a great guy. But go see David Corral. He will give you a great deal at Novato Chevrolet. And also thanks to our good friends at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. That's pretty much going to do it for us. Unfortunately, the Niners did not.
Super here from David. How about Henderson and Evans? Yeah, no, just nothing to report on either front.
Yeah, well, we shall see on that front. We'll see where the Niners go from here. But at this point, nothing yet. Also, thanks to Habas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. HabasLaw.com on the web brings us our supers. And thanks to Habas Law for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Damon, I'll give you the final word before we bolt for the door.
The 49ers are signing future Hall of Fame wide receiver Mike Evans. Bang the gong, Larry. We got Ian Rappaport right now saying a splash in the bay. The Niners are signing Mike Evans. At least they have done something. Evans leads the Bucs on a 3-year deal after all, giving Brock Purdy a big-time weapon. And look, Mike Evans stays healthy. Mike Evans is a valuable piece. Staying healthy for Mike Evans has been a bridge that he's had trouble crossing over the last couple of seasons. If you've had Mike Evans ever on your fantasy football team, there is no name you need to pay more attention to in terms of, is he available? Is he unavailable? But there you go. Something better than nothing. Larry, it is official. Ian Rappaport a minute ago. The Niners are signing future Hall of Fame wide receiver Mike Evans. There you go. It's a 3-year deal for Mike Evans. No number has been attached to it. No dollar amount has been attached there.
So here we go. Yeah, a splash in the bay. Mike Evans is a Niner. So, yes, a splash in the bay. The Niners are signing future Hall of Famer Mike Evans, according to his agent. and Evans leaves the Bucs, 3-year deal, and Brock Purdy now has his number one weapon. So Mike Evans steps in. What do you think of Evans? I mean, Evans is a player who's had a really, really good career. He's a future Hall of Famer.
Again, I like Mike Evans. I would have loved Mike Evans 2-3 years ago. But how about this? You cannot diminish the fact that this is far and away, outside of Christian McCaffrey, their best offensive weapon. He hasn't even caught a ball yet for the Niners, and he is the best offensive weapon on this team, not named Christian McCaffrey. This is, of course, with the caveat that George Kittle's not playing this year.
He's 32, going to be 33, caught 30 balls and 3 touchdowns this last year.
I mean, that's the thing. And you wanted to get younger. Wan'Dale Robinson, younger than Mike Evans.
Yeah, I mean, they needed a volume receiver for sure. I mean, the one thing about Evans is he is a volume receiver. He definitely is going to catch, he can catch 80 balls for you. I mean,
it was the first year that he didn't go over 1,000 this year, right? Because of injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
First year in his career. Wouldn't he tied or pass Jerry Rice for the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to start a career or something like that?
Well, there you go.
Player, man. He's a hell of a player. There's no doubt about that. But you're not getting a hell of a player at any time in his career other than the end of it. And last year, he played 8 games, caught 30 balls.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Mike Evans as far as to me, I like the fact that he's the kind of volume receiver that can catch a lot of balls. I mean, some of these receivers, it's like, well, wait a second. You're going for a receiver that's going to catch 22 balls. I mean, like paying big money for Jalen Naylor just didn't seem like a smart play.
Right. I looked that up. He would have like 18 catches last year or whatever it is.
I mean, it didn't seem like for the amount of money that you're going to pay him, that you're going to get that kind of value out of him. But yeah, the Niners outbid the Cardinals, Dolphins, and others for Mike Evans. So, interesting. Definitely interesting.
Like to see a dollar amount on this, Larry. What are they paying for Mike Evans? By the way, the Adam Schefter report, it's a 12 season, 6-time Pro Bowler, 866 career catches, over 13,000 receiving yards, over 100 touchdowns, and he's won a Super Bowl ring with Tom Brady. So, you got a guy who has been there, done that. How much left does he have in the tank? Again, last year, 8 games was all he could give.
Is Brock Purdy going to give up his number? They both wear 13.
Brock is not giving up. The quarterback never is the guy who gives up his number, ever.
By the way, the Cardinals are targeting Jimmy Garoppolo. Did you see that? Jimmy Garoppolo could be in the division. That would be unbelievable if somehow Jimmy Garoppolo became a Arizona Cardinal.
A starter in the division again?
Wow.
Look at it this way. I would highly suggest that the Arizona Cardinals sign that. I don't think they get harder to beat with Jimmy.
Well, Mike Evans off
the board, now a Niner. Does that mean Romeo Doubs? Bye-bye. That's not happening now, right? Because you need more than one wide receiver.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's not happening. To me, look at the 49ers receiving core. They got absolutely nothing. They have absolutely nothing. They need another receiver badly. Here's the other thing about it, though. It's like rookie receivers often don't produce. So,
especially with the Niners, because they don't get to play.
But if you're talking about, going for the Niners need another receiver? Yeah, they do. Will they go for another free agent receiver? Maybe this is an indication that Dobbs' market got out of control. But
let me ask you this.
I don't like going for 32-year-old receivers.
You talk about how wide receivers need to be complementary to each other. The Ricky Pearsall, Mike Evans, and maybe soon to be Deebo Samuel. What do you think of that wide receiver room?
Well, I mean, if you looked at the Niners on paper, if they're not going to have JJ, then you got to have that chain mover. So I think Evans becomes the chain mover. Now the question is, do you have enough vertical between Cowing, Watkins, and Pearsall to satisfy, that, or do you need more of a big play threat than you currently have? So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it could fit together. If Debo runs the short routes and Evans runs the intermediate routes, and you've got, your other receivers, Ricky and Cowing and Watkins running the deep routes. But it is interesting. It's interesting. I do think Debo is coming back. And so Debo, Evans.
Our powers coming in. Mike Evans choosing Purdy over quarterbacks like May, Herbert, and Lamar. Fire emoji. I mean, did he choose this based on quarterbacks or most amount of money offered to him at the late stage of his career? I would like.
I think it checks all the boxes, right? You can win. You got a quarterback. You got an OC. You got volume.
Right. He says the things he wants, he will get here if the Niners decide to feed him, if he's healthy enough to be fed. Ugh, don't want Evans, says Thomas Selman. We needed to get younger. Well, but you also need players. That's the thing. And, the young players on your team, Kyle has dubbed them unplayable until, further notice. Everybody is Danny Gray until they're not.
I know. And it's to me, the most significant happenings of the day in the division were the Seahawks losing Kobe Bryant. That was pretty big. Because Kobe Bryant's a really good player, but he goes to the Bears, right? Or did he go to the Bears?
Yes, the Chicago Bears signed him.
Yeah, so good move for the Bears, bad move for the Seahawks. But Mike Evans is not a disaster, but it's like he's an older receiver. And then it's like you're going to trade for an older receiver. Steelers signed Jamel Dean, by the way, 3 years, $36 million. But you're going to sign an older receiver, but then you're going to trade Trent. You're going to maybe listen to offers for some of your core guys. It does seem a little one step forward, one step back. It doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense.
They're saying $12 million a year for Evans. Until I get it from Rappaport or Schefter, I'm not going to believe that. But if it's $12 million.
It does make you wonder, too, why are the Niners getting phone calls on Fred Warner? Why exactly are the Niners, have they let it be known to opposing GMs that Fred Warner's available? I don't know. That's an interesting one to me, why are the Niners getting calls on Fred Warner? And why were the Niners tied in any way to Jalen Carter? Does that also makes you wonder about especially after there was the Jalen Carter for Max Crosby rumor. Okay, well, it's not easy to project. Okay, if that's dead now that Crosby's a Raven, is it possible that Jalen Carter would be traded to the Niners for Nick Bosa? I mean, when you hear them after Max Crosby for Jalen Carter, it's pretty easy to pivot from Crosby to Hendrickson or Bosa.
By the way, Holland Tracy says Evans, Pearsall stay healthy. Jordan Watkins emerges. That could be a pretty good trio, don't you think? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm going to tell you about Jordan Watkins. He's at one gigantic scoop of total unknown still. So who knows what he is?
Yeah, I mean, all these guys are pretty unknown at this point. I mean, they haven't really done much. So, yeah, we'll see.
Healthy. Michael Goldberg says if he stays healthy, he's going to be a great security blanket and red zone target for Purdy. Kyle will maximize Evans' skill set. You would certainly hope so, and he's healthy enough to do that. A Hall of Fame wide receiver. I like it. Jerry Rice was really good. Late into his 30s. F you, Larry. Love the show, guys. Thank you very much. That is from, what is it? Their recovery? The recovery, I think, is the handle there.
All right. Well, we've hit all of our supers. We appreciate all you guys. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to our people who participated today via the supers. What do you got cooking on the channel the rest of the day, Damon?
Well, that's it. I actually got a couple meetings that I got to run to today, Larry. I got a little doctor's appointment. Everything's fine, just normal checkup. And we'll obviously be willing to hop on the minute the Niners do something else, if they do something else. But I'm glad that they did do something, because right up until this Mike Evans news, they were on track to do absolutely nothing. Again, Adam Schefter just said Mike Evans leading Tampa was not about money. Take that, Bruce. Okay.
Okay. We shall see. We shall see where this goes from here. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Damon. Thanks to all of you. Have a great rest of your day. I'm back with you tonight at 6:00 for Niners Nightly. Check me out then. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.